We are recording.
So, I've been eating sweet chili sauce for maybe 9-10 years. It's kind of a staple with a lot of my dinners. You get some southern fried chicken goujons. You cook them up real nice. You have them with some sweet chili sauce. You got yourself a party, my friend.
Where is this going?
But
Okay.
I recently discovered sriracha sauce.
That's way too much for me.
Really,
Oh yeah.
because I feel like a fucking fool that I've been eating this inferior sauce most of my goddamn adult life.
What's sriracha?
It's like this. I think it's like a Thai sauce.
I thought it was Korean.
The bottle. Fuck. You know what? I don't know.
You get in the Asian supermarket, it's got a chicken on it, it's big and red with a green cap.
Yeah, and it scorches your mouth while also being like a little bit sweet. And man, look, I don't want to get too vulgar like too quickly on this podcast, but sriracha sauce makes sweet chili sauce taste like fucking dog shit.
That's kind of harsh. Sweet chili sauce has been good to you for years. Years and years and years. And you find something to replace it and you're just talking crap about it straight away.
Or sweet chili sauce has been dragging me down this entire fucking time, and now I finally met something I can rely on that brings out the most me.
Sweet chili sauce has been gaslighting you this entire time.
It has. It's been such a bad, like, it's been a bad part of my life. I'm gonna say it. It has, and I'm the fool for not seeing it.
Do you guys like hoisin sauce?
What's hoisin sauce?
You have it with duck. It's a kind of a slightly sour, bittery, but a tiny bit sweet.
Oh, it kind of tastes like purple.
Yeah, it tastes like purple.
Yeah.
It's good eating.
Yeah. Yeah, I have, but I don't like to eat ducks.
I like duck spring roll. It's good eating.
No, because
Food.
I'd be friends with a duck.
I'd be friends with a pig, but you don't see me
No
complain.
fucking way I wouldn't be friends with a pig. I'd devour those people.
I'd be friends with a hedgehog, but I'd still get a hedgehog.
You'd eat a hedgehog.
You'd eat hedgehog.
Yeah, fuck 'em.
No, you would
You
not.
own a pet hedgehog and you'd eat a hedgehog.
Yeah, Sonic's going down.
I'd eat Sonic. That's different. Welcome to the Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast. The world's strongest video game podcast. I am sitting here with two of the finest vendors you're ever likely to meet at the Dublin Farmers Market. To my left, the king of wood smoke glazed pork and also hedgehog, it's Bryan.
The secret ingredient is honey, but don't tell anyone.
To my right, with the bitterest pickles in all the land, it's the peach cobbler, Niamh.
Hi.
And with you always, I'm your host, Josh, also known as Murder Baby now apparently. Yeah, I saw it in the comments and I was like, I mean, yeah,
Wait, murder baby. So are you a baby that's being murdered? Or are you a baby that committed a murder?
both, man.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
It's fine.
Remember that meeting a while ago where like we need to stop talking about harm against children?
Yeah, that was 2 meetings ago about the harmony. We're a video game podcast.
We are.
We talk about the darkest, most heinous shit.
Yeah, it's true. Speaking of which, do you guys see Bray Wyatt's new gimmick?
Yeah, that's the darkest, most heinous shit.
It's pretty good. Guys, we got a stacked podcast, so we should, you know what, we should probably just get into things. I saw, moving away from the subject of harm to children or anything like that, I saw Pet Sematary.
Any good?
Okay. Yeah, it is a good movie.
Really?
Yeah. Did you see it?
No, I've just heard bad things.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess first thing I would say, was not bored the entire movie.
Have you read the book?
I haven't read the book. I've seen the original film.
Okay.
Yeah. If you read the book, I very much know why you're pissed off with this movie, because this movie changes some pretty drastic things about the core story happening here. I don't know how much to get into them because I don't want to spoil shit for people, but at the same time, like, it's Pet Sematary.
Well, it's a cemetery for pets that was on an Indian burial ground, and you bury your pets, but it's not what it seems.
No.
They come back to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that much is clear from the trailer.
And like, it's got the old farmer. He's like, you shouldn't bury, you shouldn't do that out there, and that's kind of one of those things.
Yeah, but like, anyone who's even kind of familiar with the story of Pet Sematary, there's one very specific thing that happens halfway through that is like kind of the defining moment of that story and sets all the other events in motion. And they change that thing, and it's really weird the direction they go after that. Like, a lot changes. But I really like this movie. I thought it was good. There was some really interesting, like, visual direction to it. Like, there was there's a bit where, like, there's all these really kind of interesting shots. Like, there's, the first thing that happens is, like, a cat gets run over and they bring back the cat, and then the cat's all fucked up, so they try and, like, drive away, and, like, the husband takes it up the mountains and he puts it, like, under one of these, like, one of these kind of crossing barriers with all the warning signs on it. And so, like, he's just looking at it as he drives away, and as the camera pulls out, it's just the cat sitting there with all these, like, danger signs above it. And it's like, it's kind of fun, weird shit like that. There's cool stuff where the lighting changes really dramatically to, like, kind of, I guess, reflect what the characters are going through. Like, early on in the film, the husband has this bit where he's a doctor and he loses a patient, and he's not super comfortable with the concept of death. Like, the whole movie is about these people who can't really handle death, and he has to treat someone who was part of a really grisly accident, and, like, it kind of really affects him when the guy dies. And then, like, it just cuts to him, like, at this traffic light, and he's just completely bathed in red. It's just really upset. And I thought there was a lot of interesting, cool visual stuff like that. The guy from Third Rock from the Sun,
John Lithgow.
he's in it.
Oh, I love that
And
guy.
he just plays, like, a regular old man next door neighbor. He is so fucking charming. He's really, really good in it. It's tricky because, like, I did enjoy the movie. I wasn't bored at all, but I think I was kind of disappointed by the end of it, because, like, I feel like it's a really fun, interesting horror movie, and some of the scares in it are just really subtle and creepy, especially when it gets into, like, if you're aware of Pet Sematary, when stuff starts coming back, they start doing some really, really interesting things. There's a really creepy ballet scene. But towards the end of the movie, they go fucking ham on, like, creepy child ideas.
Great.
As in, like, this child is spooky, and when they're being subtle with it, it is fucking spooky, and it works, and, like, it treads this really interesting line of, like, what's dead and what's alive, and it's super, like, compelling. But when it starts just like, this child is evil, it gets really corny to the point that, like, it's like the movie is, like, just going for, like, the whole thing, and it ends on just kind of some real wet farts.
That's a pity, and it's a short movie, isn't it? It's
Hour
like
and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is kind of coming off the success of It, the previous year, because it's another classic Stephen King story that already exists in a movie, but it's being rebooted.
I liked this a lot better than It, because this was a horror movie.
Okay.
And yeah, I nearly really, really enjoyed it, but there is definitely some stuff towards the end. They try and do some, like, visual effects stuff that just is kind of bad.
Was the cat good?
The cat is so good. Maybe one little problem: such a beautiful cat, kind of hard to be frightened by it, because you're just like, that is just a excellent specimen of a cat. But
It's a Maine Coon, isn't it?
I think it's played by, like, 4 different cats, but they're all amazing looking. And yeah, oh man, there is some really good, like, creepy bits in it though. But I'd check it out if you like old Stephen King stuff. This was a solid ass horror movie, I thought. Bryan,
Yeah.
what do you got?
I guess there's a bunch of things we've all, or at least 2 of us have watched. Let's do Rilakkuma and Kaoru.
Yeah.
I absolutely adored this.
Me too.
I've watched it twice.
I've been savoring it. I'm not finished it yet because I know I'll burn through it. They're like 10-minute episodes.
Yeah. Pretty much that, like, if you stack them together, it makes a 90-minute movie or a 2-hour movie. But it kind of tells a really nice story from start to finish.
So, like, it's Rilakkuma, which is the mascot bear from Japan that's on everything.
He's a Sanrio character that was conceived in 2003, and so his gimmick is that he's a teddy bear, which means relax bear, and he lives in the apartment of a woman who's an office worker, and there's Rilakkuma, the white bear, and Kuratori, the canary. And he's lazy, the other bear is playful, and the canary is a neat freak, and he collects pocket change from when he cleans the couch.
I love that bird so much.
He's a very important character.
It's a Netflix original.
Yeah.
So it's Netflix funded, and it is done by Dwarf Studios in Japan, not to be confused with Dwarf Studios in France, which do 3D animation. It is their first kind of full-length thing. Before this, they've done shorts, which are stop motion as well. This is stop motion animation. And like, it is beautiful. I don't know how they managed to pull this off. The scale of it is insane. Kaoru and Rilakkuma live in this little apartment, and it's so just dense with objects and so much personality. Like, she has mismatched chairs at her dinner table, and she's like her own little like books that you'll see in the background of different episodes, and then she'll use later on to check mushrooms and different breeds of mushrooms in. And she has a little rice cooker, and she has a mirror, and she even has storage in her house, like practical storage that's like part of the wall that she'll pull out where she keeps her rainy day gear. And it's like a real lived in space, like it's a real apartment made in miniature. And not only that, they've made the entire little village she's in. They go to a festival, they've made all the little stands. There's incidental characters with multiple costumes. And if anyone knows like how much work goes into stop motion, this is labor intensive to make this much stuff and to make these many costumes. Kaoru has loads of different outfits. There's so much different lighting. It's just, it is a real, it's just amazing how much work has gone into this, and it pays off. It looks beautiful. It's one of the nicest looking animated shows I've seen in such a long time. I'm really happy that like it's made in stop motion, because like has there been another stop motion like TV series in recent memory? I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Outside of Adult Swim, not really.
Do you remember there was like a flood of them in, I want to say, the early 2000s, and they all played on Sky?
Oh, like the PJs and stuff?
PJs,
Yeah.
and there was another one about two guys taking a road trip.
I think that was produced by the guy who used to be the CEO of Disney. Weird. Or created by him.
There's been like little bits like in Pop Team Epic, there's obviously the little felt doll versions of them. Yeah. And then Osamatsu-san had like some of its intro sequences and stuff. They had little wooden versions of them. So there's been like stop motion, lovely stop motion pieces, but to get a full series is just such a treat.
The only other time I've seen Japanese stop motion is sometimes you see it at film festivals, but when we were on holidays in Japan, when you watch like children's television at 7 o'clock in the morning, there's a lot of like 2 or 3 minute shorts that are stop motion that are just kind of very instructional. You know, apples fall off trees, you eat apples, you put them in pies, and you eat the pie.
Oh, that makes
just
sense.
Kind of like cute stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they kind of see it used to this scale where you're kind of telling a very human story as well about Kaoru and her life. And she's brilliant.
It's interesting because it's like, who is the demographic for this? And it's clearly aimed at, I would say, people in their 20s to 30s.
Well, as soon as that line comes along in the first episode, a party for people who've been left behind, it's like, oh, this isn't for like children.
No.
And like, it's not like it's like graphic content or anything. It's just the story it's telling is probably meaningless to a young audience.
Yeah, like it's completely pleasant to watch at any age, but you will be bored if you're a kid, unless you're entertained by Kuratori and stuff like that. But I watch it with my sister who's 27, and she was like, there was bits in certain episodes and she was like, oh no, got too real.
Yeah.
And she came in and she was like, "This is weird," and then she watched the whole thing with me. So
it's like a Gretzko is this real existential adult kind of workplace kind of story, and it's very blatantly that. This is not as blatant, but it has kind of echoes of it.
Gretzko's kind of cruel. This isn't.
It's sweet but sad as well.
yeah, it's still got a lot of the frustration.
I have a question. Why does Rilakkuma have a zip but the other bear doesn't?
Because Rilakuma's real body is underneath. He's wearing like a kigurumi. He's wearing like a onesie.
So what is he underneath?
It's private.
We don't know.
Do you know it'd be really fucked up if it was just a person?
Well, see, like his head is his own head,
Yeah.
but his body.
I feel like he just has like a condition like where he has like excessive mange, so he needs to wear his bodysuit to cover it up.
But the other bear is just a bear.
Yeah, the other bear is just a bear.
Yeah. There's a really, really good episode later on with her, because like I wasn't sure if I liked her character at the beginning because I didn't know like what her role was, but it kind of comes much clearer later on. And the second last episode is amazing. The last episode's fantastic. You know how it'll have end credits and it's just one page of credits. In the last episode they actually have like 5 minutes of credits, and it turns out like hundreds and hundreds of people worked on it, because I thought only like a small amount of people worked on it, but like there's so many people, like in terms of set designers and animators. There's like 20 animators, but then there's people who were just in charge of touch up and clone stamping in post-production, just because like the felt on the characters would kept vibrating.
I think I'd be pretty good at clone stamping.
Yeah, except it's kind of donkey work.
Yeah,
Roto.
that's what I'm good at.
Like it's got a Wes Anderson vibe as well, I guess, with Fantastic Mr.
no.
Fox. I totally got it from the.
Really? Do you think?
Well, just from the.
Do you not like Fantastic Mr. Fox, Niamh?
I think it's fine. I like Fantastic Mr. Fox despite being a Wes Anderson film.
I remember.
I love that film.
Like,
You
I
know-
really like that
no,
film.
no,
I don't like
fair.
Wes Anderson.
See, I don't like Wes Anderson, but I love Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I love the film about the hotel.
Oh,
Darjeeling.
No.
No.
I fucking
Grand Hotel.
I hated Darjeeling Limited.
Grand Budapest
You know,
Hotel,
our
yeah.
friend, fucking, I'll say it, John. Actually, I won't say his full name. John from art class.
Yep.
I remember one time I watched Darjeeling Limited, and I thought it was dumb. I don't like that movie.
I'm not saying his name because people know who he is,
Yeah,
and
people know
they're
who
and
he
they're screaming his name right now.
And let's be honest, Bryan, we've put that man through enough.
yes.
Like, legitimately.
Yeah.
But I came in one day and I was like, oh, I watched Darjeeling Limited. I hated that movie. And he just turns around to me without any humor or like joke, and he just goes, yeah, that's because you don't have a soul.
You don't.
Now, be that as it may, I thought that was a pretty mean thing to say.
I still think Isle of Dogs is the worst thing he's
I
made.
thought that was shy, and I really wanted to like that movie.
I really want to see Missing Link now, just because we're thinking about stop motion, the new Leica
Yeah.
film.
Oh, I didn't know that was.
It's
I just saw
out.
it.
Yeah, it's out and it's fucking dying.
It's doing really badly, and people are like, it's doing really badly. I haven't seen any advertising for it, so they clearly didn't have much of a budget
I've
for
seen
that sense.
posters and stuff, but I look at the posters and I'm like, I don't want to see that.
I think I'll go see it, but I really didn't like Kubo and Two Strings, so I'm not fucking motivated.
Yeah, I loved the first half of Kubo, not really the second half of Kubo.
I think I hate that film.
Wow.
I think it's one of the worst written movies ever.
Really?
I just think like what a waste of hard work people
Shit,
put
man,
in.
I really want to see that movie because I think it looks cool.
No, it does. It looks
They worked
amazing.
so hard
Yeah.
on it, but they should have read the script and gone, hang on a sec, this is going to be a waste of time.
That's the problem. Like, it's just like stop motion is so labor intensive. God, if you're committing to a bad script, whoa, it's painful because
Yeah.
like that's so beautiful, but the story is like,
So
Yeah.
much blood, sweat, and tears in that film. Not in the script.
Okay, guys, let's say we stick on the subject of Japanese anime.
A what?
Japanese anime.
Anime?
I'm trying to say it's coming out.
Anime?
Yeah,
Anime?
I don't know.
And yeah, anime.
I watched Game of Thrones.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a Game of Thrones fan? Have you watched them all?
Niamh, we've been doing this podcast for 4 years.
I don't listen to a word you say. I just black out. No, so
Yeah, I've been watching it too.
Yes, Niamh, I'm a Game of Thrones fan. We've had many conversations about it.
Whoops.
I think Game of Thrones.
No, hang on. Niamh, you're the fucking worst. Oh my god.
I think Game of Thrones is good, but I way prefer Rilakkuma.
I forget I'm a Game of Thrones fan. Like, I've seen it all and I like forget it.
It's been 2 years since they like had it out.
I really wasn't excited for this season because I kind of feel like 6 episodes are talking about how there's a big battle. I like the big battles in Game of Thrones, but I more like it when like 2 characters are in a room and one of them's like, she's fucking his brother and stuff like that's what I like about Game of Thrones. I've been really pleasantly surprised. I'm really enjoying this season so far.
Yeah, me too.
Especially the most recent episode that came out.
The second one.
Yep, because
that was great.
All it is just a bunch of characters. They're waiting for a big battle, and it's everyone from Game of Thrones. Well, nearly everyone. They're all in this one section, and they're all like, we're all gonna die, and they're all like meeting their old traveling buddies and people they had shit with like 5 seasons ago, and it was really good, and it was really heartfelt, and just
I saw that episode described as when you play a JRPG and you're about to fight the final boss, but you do a bunch of side quests just to get them over and done, because as soon as you beat the boss, you have to like go into New Game Plus.
Man, 100%, absolutely had that feeling, and it was really lovely.
Yeah.
Fucking weirds me out to see Arya getting busy. My brain cannot process that.
She's a 22-year-old woman.
Like 22 years old, consenting adults, whatever the fuck they want, but in my head, she's still like it was weird.
Well, in the show, they did a lot to infantilize her. Like, the real actress has bound her breasts for years on it to make herself look younger.
Yeah,
so
but then
it is a bit jarring.
Yeah, but then in interviews you see her and you're like, okay, it's just some woman.
Oh, I have no
she's like
doubt.
Tattoos all over her arm and stuff. Like,
that's fucking weird, man. Arya.
I don't know. She looks like Grimes.
But
Oh my God. Don't shade Maisie Williams like that. Grimes is so dirty.
Niamh.
She
started going out with that billionaire, and you're like, I can say whatever I want about her now.
Yeah, fuck Grimes.
she's been on a downhill slope the last year.
That what is the power song?
I like that song.
I don't like that song. I don't like the message.
But that's it. The message, you're listening like, cool, this is fun, and then you're listening to it and you're like, this is fucked up.
The song's about Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, I do kind of like the song, but to me, it's a very just typical catchy pop song. That's not really what I like about Grimes.
Yeah. R.I.P. Grimes.
R.I.P. Grimes.
I'm going to watch all of Game of Thrones when it all comes out, because that's what I do. I wait until all the hype is over. I wait about 2 months afterwards, and then I binge watch it.
Yeah, I remember you said that in the big conversation we had about Game of Thrones.
Cool. I'm glad I don't change.
It's a lot of fun though. I'm having a really good time.
Did you guys see the Cersei, Lannister, Tyrion, and Elmo short?
I did.
No.
About respect.
Yeah. Elmo is like to Cersei and Tyrion. He's just like, be friends. And it's really funny because he's like, when I have a problem with Abby, and it's just like, man, why are you throwing Abby under the bus? It's really, really funny.
When Abby's a fucking bitch.
And just like Lena Headey's just like really trying not to laugh, but it's very fun.
I love Lena Headey so much.
She's great.
Yeah.
What do you think of what's going on with Cersei this season, Bryan?
She's holding down the fort till it goes full fucking crazy, and she is taking everyone down with her. She is kicking and screaming.
What about her new
mutton chops?
I mean, I get it. We all get lonely.
That guy's way better in the books. I really don't like that guy in the TV show.
Do you know, I'm so heartbroken that we're never going to get Strong Belarus.
My favorite eunuch.
Yeah. Okay, on that subject, what's the deal with Grey Worm? Because
where's this going?
Because Grey Worm's a eunuch.
Yeah.
The way it's described in the books is he's a Ken doll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the TV show, he's with Jiqui.
No, not Jiqui, Miss Sandy.
I'm so sorry. I fucking confused fucking Daenerys' servants' names.
Jiqui is a completely different character.
Jiqui fucking got locked in a safe, didn't she?
I think so.
Oh fuck. But
What is your question here?
how?
Miss Sandy enjoys herself, and
But did
Grey
they
Worm
not-
enjoys.
Did they not imply that like he?
Yes, he did.
What did they imply?
Okay, because Grey Worm's a eunuch, but they imply that like they're having boner sex, and I don't understand the mechanics
they
of
were
Maybe he's
not
using
having-
his hand.
No, I like the way it was shot did not make it seem like that. And I know there's a fucking million different ways people can do it, but I felt like
I did not see it filmed like that. I saw him lower his head.
okay, but I wouldn't have that question if he did that.
But he did lower his head.
Okay,
I think you're just gonna have to rewatch it,
I'm just
John.
gonna have to rewatch
And
it.
I think we're just gonna have to mark this as very, very explicit because I don't know what the fuck we're talking about now. This is supposed to.
Listen, everyone who listens to this podcast is over 21. I can confirm that.
I cannot confirm that.
I can absolutely confirm that everyone who listens to this podcast is over 21.
Niamh, I was saying to John before we started recording, I was chatting to some of our top tier patrons in our Discord. A few of them were born after the year 2003.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, if you were born after the year 2003,
What age does
I
that
need
even
you to
make
go
you?
and delete this podcast from your phone. I need and just play your parents this episode so far, and then let them give you an appropriate punishment because you shouldn't be listening to this.
Get your parents to review this podcast.
Yeah, please do.
Just to put that in perspective, kids, we were born in the 80s.
Like, we don't remember the 80s because we were like too fat and stupid. Didn't know what happened. So,
Just three fat stupid babies.
yeah. But like we're old. Like John cricked his neck earlier on, and it shook us. Game of Thrones, everyone.
Game of Thrones, everybody.
How
How
do you-
does Grey Worm do it?
How
Moving
do you-
on.
How do you have sex?
Well, looks like we found ourselves an episode title. Okay. Okay, let's keep sticking with the anime, shall we?
Yes.
Let's talk about the acts.
Oh no. Oh man, this show is fucked up.
This is so fucked up. I took notes on this. Just so I remember. So I think we talked about like this case maybe a year ago, because there was
we think we did.
The Gypsy Rose trial.
yeah, because there was like a documentary about
Yeah.
it then.
Mommy Dead and Dearest is
Yes.
the documentary.
But now it's been adapted into a TV show directed by Mamoru Hosoda.
It's being produced by Hulu, and you could totally tell that Hulu and Netflix are competing against each other for true crime. Where Netflix are like, we got Ted Bundy, well, Hulu's like, we got Gypsy Rose.
So 8 episodes, and this is the case about Gypsy Rose and DG Blanchard. So it is a case of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, which is the idea that it's a mental health problem where a caregiver, which would be Dee Dee, the mother, is keeping her child ill to take care of her. So the child, Gypsy Rose, has never ever actually had any medical problems, but Dee Dee built a whole life on a lie that Gypsy Rose was developmentally slow. She said she had the mind of a 7-year-old when she was like 18 and stuff. She fed her through a tube. Like, God, there's some awful shots in the show where they
There's so much body horror.
it's so awful. Like, they order pizza and she liquidizes a pizza and starts to feed it through the tube into her stomach. And
That's
like,
kind of convenient.
and it's like this girl has had nothing wrong with her, but her mom has inserted this tube into her to feed her, so she hasn't eaten solid food for years. The mom pretends that she has a allergy to sugar, so Gypsy Rose has never tasted anything sweet. She just infantilizes her, dresses her in frills, like immerses her in Disney, gives her stuffed toys, and doesn't let her interact with like children her own age. And it's just one of the most brutal cases of child abuse. But the story of Gypsy Rose is Gypsy starts to realize this. They move because they're kind of on the radar of child services a little bit.
And they're Hurricane Katrina victims as well, so they
Yeah.
get a new house.
They have a new house built for them and they move, but they live next to a girl that's around Gypsy's age. and she has friends and she has a boyfriend. And Gypsy, as she's getting older, kind of starts to want these things because there's nothing wrong with her. She starts, having a sexuality and she wants to express that. And the mom is trying her best to keep her sick and to keep her infantilized. And there's this one really chilling part, and it's like Gypsy Rose realizes that she's not actually allergic to sugar after a party. The mom tries to grift people in the town, and she has a jar out, and it's for Gypsy Rose's eye surgery, and people are putting money in the jar. And Gypsy Rose tries to eat a cupcake, and the mom kind of catches her. And it was also in the moment where the mom is being caught in a bit of a lie, so she uses that to kind of create drama, and she just stabs Gypsy Rose in the leg with an EpiPen and brings her to the ER. But Gypsy Rose overhears that she isn't allergic to sugar at all, so she starts sneaking up at night and drinking Coke and eating sweets and just kind of having a bit more of a life. She gets on the internet, which is, where all the shit goes down.
Yeah, she finds out her real age. Just really starts peeling back, the lie and I guess the act.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it's as she gets older, like there's this great scene where the mom removes all her teeth, because her teeth start to, if you don't use your teeth, they will rot, and when you start using them again, they'll rot really badly. So she had really bad teeth problems, Gypsy Rose, but she brought her to the dentist and had all of her teeth pulled. And this was such a case where she saw kind of Gypsy kind of nearly expressing interest in boys and interest in girls her own age, like kind of being interested in boys and femininity and stuff like that. And the mom had all her teeth pulled out. And it's this really upsetting moment. Like, it was one of those moments where, like, it was just, whoa, you were so fucking evil. This woman, you were so evil. 18-year-old with no teeth. And the mom is washing her in the bath afterwards, and her face is all bruised from having all her teeth pulled. And she's like, "You're my baby." And Gypsy Rose stands up, and she has her full womanly body and breasts and hips. And she starts having her period, and she's just like, "I'm not your baby." And then the mom is like, goes crazy, because the mom has clearly been suppressing her menstrual cycle as well with medication. Anyway, this keeps continuing on and on and on. And Gypsy Rose finds more ways to kind of express herself. And it gets to the point where she gets to christianmingle.com.
Yep, a Christian dating site. And she meets...
where I'm going after this.
And she meets just a human disaster.
This sounds great. It also sounds like the most difficult thing to watch in the world.
Kind of yes and no. So this is a dramatization.
It's really, really kitschy in places.
Yeah.
Which kind of like... It's played so... like a made-for-TV movie or like a Hallmark movie where it's kind of shitty, but then other parts are so compelling and you're on the edge of your seat and it's all you can think about for the rest of the week.
Mm-hmm.
It's
okay, I think I'm gonna...
It's ridiculous.
The story is just, it's so larger than life, and it's so silly. Like, she goes to a con, and the first time she kind of wants to escape and she leaves the house, it's because she meets a guy who's cosplaying as Wolverine, and she's like, "I love Wolverine," and he's just like, "You could be my Jean Grey." And like, there's this fucking cosplay intersection and this nerd culture. She meets this weirdo off Christian Mingle who's like, "I have an alternate personality," and he's into like kinky shit.
Oh yeah, I really like that picture he sends her, and it's such a picture from the internet that like I think they captured the turn of the last decade so well. Where like cool. it kind of spans from like 2009 to 2015. And they've nailed like what movies are in the cinema, what they were using as that version of Facebook, what they would be like Googling, and what it looks authentic.
Yeah.
And usually that stuff looks real bad.
It's really good. It's a really shocking case. It's brutal. It's upsetting. It's funny.
It's kind of funny
because everything you're saying. Well, actually, maybe some of the stuff like with the internet, I can see there's room for humor. But man,
there's
a really good bit where they're watching Twilight, and it cuts to like the makeout scene in the bedroom, and the mom puts her hand over Gypsy's face, but then Gypsy's kind of looking through her hand at the makeout scene. Just kind of that stuff. And there's a bit where like there's a really intense bit at a cinema but it's when they went to see the live action remake of Cinderella, and she's dressed as Cinderella, and so it's kind of funny.
There's a real dark humor to it.
Like
Sounds great.
Like the show makes you smile, and like the two main leads, it's Joey King plays Gypsy Rose, and then Patricia Arquette plays the mom, and her hair and makeup is so good. Like I did not recognize her, and she does the southern drawl like super well.
Yeah.
I think they're fantastic.
The real Gypsy Rose, who is in prison right now, is suing
Yep.
Oh,
Hulu
no.
for this.
Now, yeah, she's in prison for second-degree murder. I think she's just pissed because she didn't get a cut of like she didn't get a book deal out of any of this, and like the story is like they've
How did they make it without her consent?
Because it's like it's a dramatized version. It's just like although it's a real story, like bits have been dramatized.
It's got that disclaimer at the end of every episode that they've taken enough creative liberties that it's enough removed from like the original case. But there's been a bunch of like podcasts about it, and there's the Mommy Dead and Dearest documentary, but then Gypsy Rose is helping make another documentary from her angle. But like the mom should have been put in prison for the rest of her life. Like what actually happens at the end, you know, it didn't go down very well.
It sounds kind of horrific.
Yes.
Man, Japanese animation just knocking it out of the park. Speaking of anime, I watched season 1 of Malcolm in the Middle.
Me too.
Oh man, this talk about a show like aging well.
Yeah.
Like, oh god, this is still so much fun. It's crazy to me, like how I watched that. Like I watched Malcolm in the Middle when I was Malcolm's age. Now, as someone who's way too old, I'm still having a great fucking time with that show. And like, I think the thing that's really hitting me is like how good the production of it is and how good like the actors are. There's a lot of jokes. Like there's one, I watched the one on where Malcolm learns to roller skate today.
So good.
And there's this one shot where Malcolm asks Hal to teach him to roller skate, and when he does, the camera pulls in on Hal, but then like the lighting changes dramatically.
Yeah, it changes to like a spotlight.
So that everything around Hal and Malcolm, including like Reese and Dewey, who are sitting like 2 feet away, is just covered in darkness, and it's just Hal and Malcolm, and he just goes, "Are you sure, son?" or something like that. Or you know the bit you were saying, Bryan, where Lois is like, "Get to your room now."
They just changed the pitch.
They just lower her pitch of her voice, and it's so funny and it's so cleverly written, and everyone's performance is so good.
They really, really captured the perspective of it, seeing it as a kid.
Yeah,
how stupid suburban childhood is.
Yeah, and like everyone dresses like shit in this show. This is not aspirational living. This is just full blown, just like lower middle class life where you are barely making do, and it is such an interesting like aesthetic to a show. You know, because so many shows after Malcolm in the Middle, you know, it started to get very much like the OC and stuff like that, where it was all very much like these kind of fantasy lives, nearly this like super wealthy, super aspirational lifestyle, and it is so cool to see something where these characters' lives, like, they're not romantic, they kind of suck, and I think it's just, I've been having such a good time with it.
Yeah, I'm the same. It's definitely I really missed the early 2000s.
Yeah, man, me too. How many listeners would you say we have who have never heard of Malcolm in the Middle?
I'd say a good portion of them.
Maybe never seen it, never heard. That's crazy.
Yeah, because the show ran from like 2001 to like 2006. Like it's,
oh man, that's old.
It's during the George W. Bush era. Like that's a while back.
13 years ago.
The original creator, Linwood Boomer, the way he pitched the show was like, because I think he's from a sitcom background, but like for ages, like people loved the scripts, but they were like, it needs a laugh track, it needs to be a multi-camera sitcom, and he was like, no, like I want it to be a single camera show, and it's shot like, you know, it's got cinematic moments, it's
really cinematic.
Yeah, and it took him ages to get that like to work, and they did a bunch of different pilots.
Really?
Yeah. but they did want it to be like a Honey, I'm Home kind of sitcom, where and like the family acted like a sitcom family, but they act like a raw, honest suburban family.
Yeah, like they kind of hate each other, but they do love each other.
But you know how you grow up as a kid and you go to someone else's house and you capture, and like sometimes you see these moments with other families with them with their guard down, and you kind of see how they talk to each other.
Yeah.
And like maybe you don't notice it in your own house all the time, but when you see it at someone else's house, it sticks out in your mind.
Yeah.
But that's what it feels like to me, the show.
Totally. And also, like, one of the best openings to any show ever.
Holy shit, yeah.
Like, I don't know how many times I've seen that opening, but it is just like pure nostalgia whenever I watch it. And it's crazy because that's how it felt back in the day as well. Like, even back then I was like, man, this really feels like being a kid, this opening. I like that it has anime and wrestling in it.
Yeah. The bit where, like, I think it's the ref gets punched out, but then he lands in the guy's arms.
Yeah.
That's so fucking good.
So good.
And the guy who's like the smiling anime guy on the bridge, but it's completely out of context.
Yeah, because in the actual clip of that guy, hasn't he just murdered someone?
Yeah,
and thrown them
he
off
just
a
threw a
bridge?
guy off a bridge.
But when it's just a show, it looks like a friendly older brother smiling down at you. But yeah, it's quality. If anyone hasn't seen Malcolm in the Middle, like I'm probably gonna work my way through it from here. But like the first season is such a pleasure to watch. It's really good. And finally, a little non-anime for a change: Carole and Tuesday.
This is an anime, and it's the best thing ever.
It's beautiful. This is from Studio Bones, who did Space Dandy.
And directed by Shinichiro Watanabe himself.
I think he's Swedish, is he?
No, he directed Cowboy Bebop, John.
I haven't heard of that show.
Space Dandy.
Is it Western, I take it?
Samurai. Well, yeah, it is. It's Western in space.
Okay, so I think Cowboy Bebop.
Humans live on Mars.
Yep.
And it is...
haven't heard of Mars.
It is the most high... Shut up, John. Let us talk about beautiful Carole.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay, I'm gonna shut up.
The most high society, lives in a mansion girl, think like Lily in Tekken, got her blonde hair and her white outfit, and she loves Cyndi Lauper, and she wants to be a musician. So she runs away from her home, and she goes to the big city on Mars.
Which is like a mishmash of like a South Korean, like it looks like Seoul, but also has Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
It's a mishmash of kind of any of the big kind of things you would think of any city kind of put together. Just city life. And she brings her guitar because she wants to make it as a singer. And she meets Carole, who is living in the city. She was an orphan, and she works shitty jobs in McDonald's, future McDonald's. She gets fired. She takes...
She works at a funeral company as a professional mourner.
Oh,
I really hope she has a new job every episode.
Yeah, it's really great. And they meet each other, because Carole is playing her keyboard on the bridge, and Tuesday absolutely falls in love with the music, and then they start a band together, a group together, and it's Carole and Tuesday, and they have an Instagram.
They do.
Good to see that Instagram is still functioning in the future on Mars.
And they'll take a photo in an episode and upload it to Instagram, and if you follow the Instagram, it's there.
It's very cute.
That's pretty cool. I
really, really like that touch. And I like that it doesn't have a profile photo. It's just like, it's like they didn't really think about the Instagram. They were like, maybe people will look at it. And
like, some animes that deal with music and musicians and being able to sing, like what was the one from the guys, the people who made Handshakers, and they made the newer one from
Wheeze.
them. Yeah, Wheeze, and the guy's a DJ, and it's just the same fucking musical sample over and over, and it's terrible.
That was fucking weird.
This show really reminded me of like what the opposite of Wheeze would be.
Yeah, exactly. Like they have people who can sing, voicing the characters. They have musicians. It's about music, and
the actual music is good.
Yeah, and
you like stop and listen to it.
There's like 2 episodes so far, but the setups, what it kind of seems to be, is kind of their like because we learned that music isn't really made by humans anymore. It's all made by AI.
But yeah, it's like a Vocaloid producer is
Yeah.
a sort of a villain or potential villain.
So it's kind of like these two girls who are really writing music from the heart and really doing it DIY versus kind of corporate music culture kind of thing. And I'm 2 episodes in and I love it. I'm very charmed by it and I can't wait to see more of it. And Carole is one of the rare examples of a black character as a main character in anime.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
And she does cool things with her hair. I love her outfits.
Her outfits are really cool.
Her weird skateboard thing is... I'm a big fan of hers. And I like her apartment. I like what she's done with the place.
Sadly, it's in Netflix jail.
Yep.
So it's not going to... It's going to be all on Netflix, but it won't be out on Netflix until it all airs in Japan first. So if you want to watch it now, you got to get creative.
If a massive corporation makes it hard to view a piece of art, just pirate it.
Yeah, just kiss that anime. You know what I'm saying?
Kiss the anime.
Yeah.
Very good. Guys, we put out a Let's Play.
Sure did.
We put out an 1.5 hour long Let's Play on our YouTube channel, and so if you haven't seen it, go check it out. The reviews for it are pretty positive, I would say.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun. I guess it was kind of a big moment for the podcast, honestly, because kind of we've been sort of like thinking about doing something like that for years. We've been requested a lot, and so we decided to play Shenmue.
John decided we should play Shenmue.
Yep.
And people have been like, it was really cool to see how much people enjoyed it. Like, and we really had a fun time making it. A lot of people have been asking, when's the part 2 coming out? And the answer to that is, unfortunately, we have no plans to do a part 2. We kind of just wanted to do the Let's Play as like, I guess like a little experiment to see like if we enjoyed making it, see if people would enjoy watching it. And I think both those things happens. We had a really good time making it, and you know, people seemed into it. We would absolutely 100% like to do more of that kind of stuff, but you know, we can be a little slow to get into things. We like to kind of take our time and really think things through.
Yeah, it took us like 30 episodes to get the podcast right.
Yeah, and I think if we're going to keep doing Let's Plays, which I think we're all pretty keen to do, we want to kind of take a little while and figure it out. Like, even just from a technology point of view and how to record it, there is some stuff that's really rough about that, about the editing process for that. But all that said, keep an eye on the YouTube channel, because we will do more stuff like that. It's just not going to be soon, and the Let's Play of Shenmue is not going to be a multi-parter. It was really cool to see people enjoyed it.
Yeah. John picked this game. Maybe myself or Niamh will pick the next one.
Or maybe we'll just do Shenmue 2.
Maybe
not.
Maybe me and Bryan will pick the next game.
Okay, because there's a lot of there's.
I'd rather Niamh picked it. John,
but
John, do you know what? Maybe you should stop talking.
I just think it's gonna be weird if we go to straight to Shenmue 3, which is why I'm saying we should just go straight, just do 2 first.
I think if we talk about Shenmue anymore in this podcast, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Okay, well, with that in mind, let's move into our strategy talk. Guys, I'm playing a lot of Shenmue. Okay, no.
How's it treating you?
I love it.
Is it treating you better than it's treating me?
No.
Jesus.
Okay, let's talk. No, I want to hear about your guys' impressions of Shenmue, because it sure was a trip showing this game to people who have never played it and had very little concept of what the game was.
I would describe Shenmue as constipated. You are pushing along very slowly, it hurts, and you don't get anything back in return.
It's one of the greatest games of all time.
Some people say that. It was interesting for me because I was down with the story at the start. Like, Landy appears, he kills your dad. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah,
and
that
then
was awesome.
Instantly I remember you telling us that we never fight Landy and he disappears on a helicopter at the end of the second game, and like that just like deflates you instantly.
Okay, Niamh, that feeling of deflatement, 19 years.
That's so frustrating a concept. Then other stuff like that, like it does a lot. Like you can drink your cola, you can like play your games, you can eat, you can buy food. You can buy food, you can't eat the food.
No.
But like that stuff is weird, and like you can't get a stat from it. So I kept being like, can I do this? Yes, I can. Doesn't mean anything. No, it doesn't.
But like even the level of interactivity, we actually only scratched the surface with that stuff, because I was playing recently and I was doing stuff just around Ryu's house. You can open up drawers, take stuff out of the drawers and examine them individually. Like it's
insane.
It is and like,
but why? To what end?
There is no game. Well, there actually is a section later on in the game where you have to explore Ryu's house and like find something. And because everything is interactable, it does make it kind of like, oh, what's this?
I just really like that Sega have like their back catalogue of old arcade games, but in order to play them, you need to physically go to the arcade and play the arcade games.
Yeah.
And I know you could do that in the Yakuza games, and it's neat, but like, you must have shit your pants.
Oh, there was a game in your game. That was crazy. I was actually, honestly, a little surprised that you didn't hate it more, Niamh.
I was charmed by it, I think. And I think it was the idea of even, okay, we have to wait for something, and that you would go to the arcade, or that you have like an allowance that you can waste buying stuff and doing lucky draws and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was charming.
Yeah.
I did. I think it's like the idea of that the overall story doesn't really go anywhere kind of makes that charm. I don't know if the pros outweigh the cons on that for me.
Well, it's just a case where like it becomes less a case of like Ryu fighting Lan Di as much as does of, oh, Ryu's gotten involved with a bunch of bikers who all sell drugs.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Like, I find it charming enough. Charming enough that Shenmue 3 doesn't seem too insane to me as a concept
this is
now.
the thing about Shenmue, I guess. It's like there's things about it that are so wooden and stilted, but I kind of love it. Like, Ryu as a character, he's nearly a non-character. He likes karate. He likes Sega games.
But not Sonic.
He doesn't know what Sonic is.
No, he doesn't know what Sonic is.
Which
but he
is
knows Espio somehow.
Well, yeah, obviously.
But there's something about that character that I find super endearing. And when he gets involved in, like, drug cartels, it's this thing where he's like, you shouldn't be doing that here. And it's like watching a puppet fight crime or something, you know?
He seems kind of sheltered, that his kind of moral center is so pure and innocent that you're kind of like, he'd go up to someone doing a crime and being like, stop, you shouldn't do that. And
that literally happens.
Yeah, and that's endearing when you have a lot of protagonists that are like, you know, Joe Coolman.
Yeah.
To have someone so naively endearing.
Yeah. I have been playing the game with a guide because I don't remember anything of what we're meant to do. That does improve the experience dramatically.
I think it's completely okay to play a game with a guide.
I literally am not playing it without a guide because I do fucking not have time with that. Because it's literally like, oh, Hayato saw those guys. You should go talk to Hayato. Where does Hayato live? Nobody knows. Is Hayato's house on the map? Fuck you, it is.
What I found frustrating about that is a lot of that felt like a red herring. Like, you finally do find him, and then it's just like, oh, no.
Because
maybe this other person.
We did find leads that led nowhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was maddening. And a lot of it, I think, was, I don't know if it's bad writing or bad translation, but, like, they would put the emphasis in the sentence on the wrong part of the lead, which leads to us spending, like, half an hour in a park waiting for sailors to show up.
I honestly thought there was going to be some sailors there.
Yeah.
Bryan, what's the likelihood of you buying Shenmue 3?
Oh, absolutely not. But John's going to play the game. He's going to invite me over, and I'm going to watch him play. He's going to go, do you want to hold the controller? And I'll be like, no, I'm fine.
Bryan, the day Shenmue 3 comes out, would you like to come into my house and play Shenmue?
I will watch you play it. I will not touch the controller.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm not touching Rio, or I'm not moving that boy anywhere again.
Damn right you're not.
I enjoyed my time with it, and you know, that's that. It was like going to the dentist. You know, it's something you have to do, and it's not fun. And there you go.
Yeah. Honestly, every complaint you guys have made is absolutely valid. In modern standards, this is a very poorly designed game. Like, holy shit. I still love this game, and I am still so happy playing it. And I'm wrong. I'm broken, but I can't help it. I fucking love Shenmue, and I honestly thought that we would play this.
Broken John and his broken game.
I honestly thought we'd get back into this, and I'd be like, oh, I don't like Shenmue anymore.
Oh, that'd be so sad.
Yeah, but it'd be reasonable.
No, you know, like, it's like your thing. You like Shenmue.
I really like Shenmue, and guys, I'm about 15 hours in.
Jesus.
How long is that game?
About 20 hours.
Okay.
And I think I'm gonna go straight into Shenmue 2 when I finish it, and then straight into Shenmue 3.
When is Shenmue 3 out?
Next month.
Wow, okay.
Yep.
I think June is May is next.
May's next.
I think May's a pretty quiet month for
Yeah.
releases.
Well, Days Gone is out at the end of April, and that's going to be fucking insane. Fucking bikers. That gives a shit. Freakers. Yay. I'm playing that game out of obligation for some dumb claim I made at the start of the year.
Yeah, video games.
Gotta stick to it.
Yeah.
But I'm playing that game.
But yeah, that was a really, really fun experience.
It was, yeah.
If you haven't watched the Let's Play, seriously, you should go check it out. People seem to really enjoy that. Niamh, you've been playing Totally Accurate Battle Simulator.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, what's this?
AKA tabs.
I saw tabs in the thing, and I was like, I'm gonna figure out what the fuck this is.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Tabs is a ragdoll physics battle simulator. It's for the PC. It's on Steam. It's around €12, and it's in early access. And what it is you can buy units, and you are the reds, and you are versus the blues, and you fight with ragdoll physics. So it's hilarious, and all the little units make noises that are like, and it's really, really good. You always start as a weaker class than the AI. So they have shields and spears, and you can buy people with clubs and stones, and you just set it up. So there you see the blue side, you see what they're coming at you with. They've like 5 shield guys, they've got 2 stone guys, they have a catapult, and then you, with a kind of allotted allowance, can buy your units. And you can buy little hobbit men, little stone men, people with shields, people with spears. When you say little stone men, do you mean men made of stone, or men? They have stones, but then you can buy a scarecrow who spits crows at people. You can buy Zeus who throws lightning. You can get a mammoth who just goes into people and like knocks them around. I don't think the recording got that. Could you do that again? Just into people, knocks them around. You have catapults, and it's because it's like a ragdoll simulation. You were like you set up all your pieces, and you're like, okay, this can beat this, and you're like, go, and then it just plays out, and they're just like, they're trying to make their way to each other, and they're like flipping and flopping, and their limbs are going everywhere, and they're like, and they're trying to fight each other. You might have one with a sight, and they're trying to kill the last little hobbit, but the little hobbit is attached to her leg, and it's just like it's absolute hilarity and simplicity in the right way. It's just so funny and easily enjoyable. Like, it's so fun, and like, you play a match, you lose, you're like, okay, well, I'll try out this configuration. What if I try 3 farmers and they have like pitchforks, and I have a whole pile of shield guys because they'll take the first blow of the catapult and stuff. And then I'll have snake archers, and they launch snakes. And it's just silly, and it's fun, and it's cartoony. And
how tactical is it?
enough. You
Yeah.
will lose if you will lose and you will go, okay, that didn't work. How about I try this? But it always
This
ends in
sounds
fun.
Good.
And
there's
it's
probably-
very quick. Like it's super quick. It'll take like a minute, 2 minutes.
Is it a
for
full
to
price
play out.
game or?
€12.
Okay.
And it's like the campaign is 20 missions right now. You have an introductory mission set as well, and they're always adding to it. And it's definitely worth the price. It's so funny and so charming. If this sounds good to you, it's hard to describe it because nearly the hilarity of it is the ragdoll characters kind of mushing up against each other. So go YouTube a video. Giant Bomb did a let's play of it as well, so check that out. But definitely worth €12.
That sounds rad. That sounds
Yeah,
really
it
cool.
does.
Brian,
Yeah.
you got some quicker games you wanted to knock out.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do 3 games.
Okay.
I beat Banjo-Kazooie. I got all the achievements on the Xbox 360.
Nice.
So I 100% of Banjo-Kazooie, which is cool because I played that game as a kid. I never 100%ed it, but it's cool to go back as an adult and play a game from your childhood and just obliterate it.
So I remember when you beat Banjo-Kazooie, you need to find all the Jinjos.
Pretty like you need more or less all the notes to go fight the actual final boss, which is Gruntilda.
Yeah.
Because her first boss battle is a quiz, and it's just a quiz about like it's like you're on a board game.
And so do you have to do everything to fight Final Gruntilda?
More or less, you need to have all the notes and all the jigsaw pieces, except
Okay.
for like 2.
Right.
And that boss battle is pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
And then you get rewarded with an extra cutscene, and that was like gold back in the day as a kid because there was no YouTube,
Yeah.
so there's no other way to
you
watch
had to
it.
do it, or you could go over to do you ever go to your friend's house and they have a bunch of shit unlocked on a game you have?
Yeah.
That was always crazy. It was like looking into the future, man.
So yeah, that game aged super well, and it's very charming, and it doesn't play like ass, and it doesn't waste your time. It's great.
Doesn't play like ass. Put that in the box.
Yeah. I finally played Apex Legends with my brother.
Oh, cool.
He's unreal at the game. He's like got a couple of kill streaks and everything. He plays the game solo sometimes. He doesn't play with a squad. Like
Wait, does that mean he abandons his squad?
Yeah,
Okay. Tell your brother from me, fuck you.
I'm sure.
That's what about your team?
Yeah.
He says once or twice he's ended up just through complete random matchmaking with like some well-known like streamers, and so he's on a squad with them, and he says it's awesome because your XP goes up so fucking high because they're just so good at the game. So I played a bit. I got down to I think it was like the last 2 on it in a round out of like 20 teams, and I got a couple kills that go, and
You got some kills, that's good.
Yeah,
It took me many games to get kills.
I got 3 kills in one of my games. I was so fucking happy. I don't know any of the names. I like the guy who is he's got prosthetic legs and he injects himself to make him go faster.
Oh, not velocity, fuck it, doesn't matter. But yeah, I know.
Because there's a similar class like that in Titanfall 2 in the online, and so he felt very familiar to play as.
Did you get that Titanfall 2 feel from it?
Yeah,
Because
especially with the jumping and the running, and then you press circle to like skid along.
I put hands on that thing and I was like, oh, this is why people like Respawn.
Yeah, Respawn are awesome. I'm glad they're still making games, and EA don't fucking touch them. They're awesome.
Just let them do their thing.
I really hope they make another single player game.
Yeah, me too.
But they worked really hard in this game, and it's cool. I don't think I'd ever play it again. I'm not interested in the genre, but it was fun to play. And then I got Cuphead on Switch.
Rad.
We've talked about Cuphead loads. It's cool that's on Switch. The default controls are absolutely awful, so I remapped the controls so that your shooting is now on one of the shoulder triggers, and it plays way nicer that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was playing it over Easter, and we went to visit my granny, who is 91 years old, and she was born in 1928. And we were playing Cuphead, which kind of, I guess, mimics a 1930s cartoon. And she kind of just stopped, and she was like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, we're playing a video game." And she was like, "That's not a video game." We were like, "No, it is." And so I was doing a run and gun level, and I moved him around left and right. And I was like, "Do you want to play?" And she was like, "No," and she just watched for a bit.
That's really nice.
It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
I've never seen my granny ever be interested in a video game
Yeah.
until Cuphead. And they're my 3 quick games.
Cool. Won't spend too long on this. Played a ton more Sekiro. I'm on the last boss of that game. I've beat nearly everything else. I think there's 1 or 2 stragglers that I just kind of missed along the way, but like nothing too major. Beat the Demon of Hatred. Don't like that fight. I think Demon of Hatred is a bad fight in Sekiro. I would love to fight the Demon of Hatred in Dark Souls. I don't feel like you have the tools to properly deal with it, where you just spend a lot of time running around and waiting for it to become open. And it's just, I think Sekiro's boss fights are fun when they're tight and tense. This wasn't that to me. But I'm on that last boss, and man, that last boss, like I think when I was telling you about it, Niamh, I was like, it's a project. Like, you approach that last boss with the same ethos you would like building a piece of furniture, where you're going to have to source the materials, you're going to have to wait for them to arrive, you're going to have to paint it, you're going to have to varnish it, you're going to have to do all this different stuff, and it's not the kind of thing you do in one day. And so I've been steadily learning how all the different pieces of that boss come together, and it's a great boss fight. But I just want to be free of Sekiro at this point, because like, just like all the other Souls games, it has consumed my ability to play games, and I find it very difficult to play something that isn't Sekiro. I think one of the things I've been really enjoying about Shenmue is it's the absolute opposite of Sekiro.
Yeah.
Both frustrating in their own entirely unique ways. I think that game's really good. I think Sekiro is great. I think when all's said and done, it's probably going to rank below Bloodborne for me, but probably above Dark Souls 2 and 3. And that's pretty good.
My Sekiro journey, I was stuck on Genichiro for a very long time. Very, very long time. So I decided to go and fight as many of the other bosses I could. So I beat both the Snake Eyes, both the long-haired giraffes, I found Tokujiro the Glutton.
The Snake Eyes on the cliff near the gun fort, she gave me a lot of trouble.
She's tough. Yeah. I beat Oren and stuff, and then I went back to Genichiro, and I finally got him, and it was one of those, oh god, thank god, because I really didn't think I could beat him. And then I took on the Guardian Ape, and I beat the Guardian Ape. And
you didn't have much trouble with the Guardian Ape, did you?
No, the Guardian Ape was pretty easy. I clued into how he moved really quickly. I think I just spent so long on Genichiro that I'm kind of like, everything else so far has felt okay, but I know I'm gonna meet my next roadblock. You know, I'm so torn on this game, because like you, I want it out of my life in a kind of weird way, because like my girlfriend's like, please play a game you have fun with. You know, please, you know, use your free time
Sekiro
to enjoy
has left
a game
me
you like.
in a legitimately bad mood a couple of evenings. Like I'm pissed, you know.
Yeah, waste your time. You didn't get anything out of it.
Yeah. So like Tabs is a great counter to that, because it's just silly fun and stuff, but I have been finding it so hard to play anything else on the PlayStation, so I nearly want to get to the point where I'm just like, fuck it, I can't go any further. Because it wasn't Genichiro. I don't know what it will be, but it'll probably come up. But it's so weird, because I'm having fun and I love it, and the environments are beautiful. Like the area around the Guardian Ape is so pretty, and I'm using the what you call it, the Nightjar telescope to take screenshots and stuff, because like you can look through it and get Sekiro out of the way, and it's just very pretty and aesthetically beautiful, and the designs are really cool. I don't know if it's worth it to get to those places sometimes.
The last boss is really cool. The boss you're on, Bryan, is really good.
What boss are you on?
I'm back at Ashina Castle. I don't like the environment for that boss fight. I wish it was in a bigger area, because I don't like the length of this sword. It's cramping me.
Yeah.
And I just don't like locations being reused.
A lot of locations seem to be reused.
Yeah, there is for sure.
Because I kind of like, I pushed as far as I could go on in every location, because I was stuck on Genichiro, and now I find that I've kind of gone to I'm at the bosses for everywhere I needed to go, and I just need to beat them.
I think there's one more major location that opens up quite late in the game that you guys haven't been.
And that's like an optional one, because you could get the bad ending and never see it, or you push on and then you get rewarded with this with the last area.
I'm a little bummed because I know there's like 2 paths through the game. 3? I'm
I
not
think
sure.
there's 4 endings in total.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, but 3 of those endings are part of one path, I think.
Right.
And then one of them is like very earlier on. So like you can be like 2/3 through the game and beat it and get the bad ending, or like push on and get like the last third, which it's very much its own thing.
But I know I'm locked out of fighting someone I really wanted to fight. And I'm kind of bummed that I won't get to see them.
Yeah, you'll have to try in a different file.
Yeah, and it's like...
Some of them are narrative based.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's fine.
Yeah. No, like, it's cool, but I'd very much like to fight them, but I don't want to play the whole game again. Although I could probably get to them pretty quick. But yeah. I still think that game's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant game. I find it so frustrating sometimes, but I really am enjoying it, and I am ready to beat that last boss. If the next time we record I haven't beaten that last boss, I'm going to be fucking pissed.
My plan at the moment is to... Because like it's been a week since I played the game, and I feel okay about it. Going to not play the game until there's DLC out after the summer. That'll be its own optional path, and that means I don't have to go into New Game Plus to play the DLC. I could play it along with my first playthrough. And I'll just pick it up in the autumn season.
Have they announced DLC?
No, they have said nothing. But this is just like a prediction that I have.
Yeah.
Just
They've always had DLC.
Yeah, they have. And there seems like there's a couple routes where it's like, this bit isn't that fleshed out, or this character is still kind of ambiguous, or... And yeah, like, I'd say it's very doable.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure we're going to talk about that again at some point. Guys, I played... The Friends of Ringo Ishikawa.
This is a Switch game, isn't it?
This is a Switch game.
I saw this.
Yeah. This is a super interesting game. So you look at the trailers of it, and you kind of look, and it's very much like kind of Streets of Rage, River City Ransom kind of looking game, like a lot of kind of fighting and kind of stuff like that with some little elements. That's really not what this game is at all. That's really like, this is a very deceptive game. This game is a Japanese school delinquent life simulator.
I'm in.
Yeah, it's very much like in the vein of Crows or something like that. And there's 3 things I really think sell this game. One, the background art is like beautiful. Some of the pixel art, some of the backgrounds, it looks really good, and not in like a retro way, but just in, these are really beautiful illustrations created with pixels, you know, that kind of way. The character animation isn't as good, I don't think, but some of the background elements as well, like if you go up to your school at kind of like, you know, twilight, and you see like, just, you can go up to the school roof and see like the clouds floating by. It's fucking beautiful. And the soundtrack's really, really good. It's a lot of really kind of lo-fi chiptune kind of thing. And just really... It's kind of like there's this kind of somberness to it, I guess. And that's really appropriate because this game is really like... You know the way like a lot of media is about like the coming of age. It's about like 14, 15, where you start to realize like there's all these new horizons and stuff like that. This game is much more kind of 17, 18, when you're in your late teenage years, and like the kind of, I guess the fun of being a teenager has started to die off, and you start to realize that you're going to have to enter the real world, and that in a lot of ways, like, you are going to have to change to fit in. This game is about that, and it gets really kind of like a little bit existential in places. Like, it's really kind of somber, and what helps it is the writing is fucking fantastic. Like, these little pixel dudes are having these conversations that really kind of get you, and they're really clever and funny, and like, even though there's like so little dialogue, and so like, you're never gonna spend long thumbing past text, but what's there is so good that it gives you a really good impression of these guys' lives, you know. And it's like the main guy in it, like, he lives by himself, he's really poor, like, he doesn't have money to go out and buy a games console, so he's always asking his friend in class to like explain the games he's playing so he can kind of have some knowledge of them, you know. And there's a lot of little bits in the game that's like that. the game's obtuse. It doesn't explain a lot of its systems. It's very difficult to know what to do or how to advance the story. But I'm pretty taken with it. I think this is a really cool game. Not going to be for everyone. Like, it's slow. You have to do things like manage your hunger meter, keep your grades up, like all this kind of stuff. But it's really fun, and there's this cool kind of just mellow sadness to it that I think is really, really good. The Friends of Ringo Ishikawa.
What price is it?
I think it was either $12 or $15.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Bryan.
Yeah.
You played Smash.
Yeah. I guess it was our Let's Fight a Boss game of the year 2018.
I don't think that sounds right.
Yeah, it was Red Dead.
Was it Red Dead?
Yeah, it was definitely
Okay.
Red Dead.
Okay, now it's Red Dead because you both beaten it. At the time, it was Smash. We haven't spoken about Smash in a while, but I play Smash every week. I used to play it every day, but then I kind of went off. I was only playing it once a week. But I started playing it again kind of every day just because they've added in the Persona 5 DLC. And that's the new character Joker and the new stage.
Joker sure got a lot of love. That's an impressive character.
They nailed the feel of Persona so fucking well. I'm so impressed. And the windscreen animations, the fact that they've even included Persona 3 and Persona 4 in the stage so it'll change tone to a different color palette and music from those games is such a nice touch.
Yeah.
I've played as Joker a bit. Don't like how he plays. Don't think I'd ever play as him. I have a lot of problems with that character. But
Really?
yeah.
Like what?
His up and B is like this little grappling hook. You cannot fucking read that skinny line against some of the BG elements. His like gunshot thing, like his neutral B is really shit. His side B is he's one of those characters you need to charge up.
Right.
And then he's useful, but before that he's not. I don't know. I just didn't like him.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you do that character, and I guess they kind of nailed what he is.
Yeah.
Just a slow character that you have to be patient with.
Interesting.
Because that's Persona. The stage, so like the other Phantom Thieves are on the stage, but they just kind of show up in Morgana's bus, like people carrier, and they just stand there and cheer him on.
That's okay. I'm alright with that.
Yeah.
I was just cool to see them there, honestly. I wish his final Smash wasn't that.
The all-out attack.
Because it's the exact all-out attack from Persona. And I'd love if they did the all-out attack but made it more like Smash Brothers-y or something. I don't know.
No, it's just a cutscene you watch, just like in the original game.
Because I've seen that so many fucking times. I don't need to see it in Smash.
They do this cool thing that like if you win the match with an all-out attack, that's also the win screen, just like it was in the like actual game, which I think is a nice touch.
I think it's a nice touch. It's just like I've seen that so much, you know.
You're gonna see it more.
Fine.
A lot of people are playing as him, so he's going down pretty well. And they have 4 other characters coming out this year, and I've no idea what they are.
Banjo-Kazooie.
I'd love it to be Banjo-Kazooie, but I'm not confident.
Okay.
I need to keep my expectations down at 0.
And that is the attitude to have as we go into our Quicktime Events. Sony reveals the first PlayStation 5 details.
Yeah, this was with Wired.com. They did an interview and they were talking about their new console. They did not say it was the PlayStation 5. They just said it's their new console. But
what if they're like, our new console, the Xbox 2?
It's 100% certain it's the PlayStation 5 though, but they just didn't say it in name. But they went through the specs and they were fairly up-to-date specs as of now. They won't be...
Do you guys feel weird there's a new console coming?
The PS4 came out at the end of 2013.
Yeah.
Which is 5.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you say that, it sounds reasonable to me we're going to get a new console in like a year and a half.
Which is about 7 years.
But I feel like it's fucking crazy we're getting a new console.
Games look amazing.
Yeah.
And like they continue to look amazing, so it doesn't feel like it. And also I think the form factor of this generation has been nice. Like they look like sleek consoles still, like, you know?
Yeah.
So it feels like hard to know how that would be pushed.
And like frequently what I care about with visuals is the art direction now, because everything has particle systems, everything's super like the amount of games that come out in the last 8 or 9 months that are just gorgeous, Devil May Cry, Resident Evil, Red Dead. It's like there's so much stuff that just looks fantastic,
but they could look better, and those loading times could be much better.
Yeah, it like it seemed in the interview they were mainly talking about the loading times.
Yeah, the big kind of thing with this, like new GPU, obviously, and new CPU, they're saying resolutions up to 8K, which really doesn't matter. Like,
also, I don't believe that, because I feel like we barely hit 1920 this generation.
Yeah. 3D audio, which sounds cool conceptually, kind of built into it, so it would be real 3D audio. Right now, if you're wearing 3D headphones, it's like simulated.
And they're using an SSD for the first time?
Yeah, it would be an SSD drive.
Which is good.
Do you have
Which
an
is
SSD
good.
in your console, Brian?
No, you have a HD.
I have a HD, but an SSD on my laptop right here, and it's quite a little fella.
Yeah, I like SSDs a lot.
So yeah, SSD drive, which is really cool, cut down loading times a lot, but given digital as a concept, will it be as easy to kind of replace your drive? Will external hard drives, could you use a HD external?
Yeah, because at the moment it's just like a Seagate, and it's super easy to swap out your 500 gigabyte hard drive to a 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte hard drive if you want. Very like it's a simple YouTube tutorial to swap them out and switch it, and
Or just even using an external.
yeah,
Like it's just USB HD. Well, you can get external SDs. It's just like the price of that is extremely different to the price of a hard drive.
yes,
SSDs?
Yeah.
They're extremely expensive.
They've come down quite a bit in the
They
last
have,
year.
but still, like,
but like a good passport terabyte hard drive is probably about €80 at this point.
yeah, 2 terabytes. I bought a passport one recently, was like €70. For like a terabyte SSD, you're looking at 150.
Yeah, that is a lot.
And it's backwards compatible with the PS4, which is cool.
That's crazy.
Because that was a big kind of problem with the PS4, is that they didn't have the architecture with that in mind, but the architecture with this, and it's the same guy again. Mark Cerny is the head of architecture on it.
It's weird. I guess it's kind of difficult for me to imagine what the horsepower is going to let them do. But now that said, when I look back at like 360 generation to like the PS4 generation, there's a huge leap there visually. And so maybe when games actually come out and there's new stuff, I'll look at that stuff and I'll look back at the PS4 stuff and be like, man, yeah, like I can see it.
You'll notice with ray tracing, like with the lighting effects, like real-time lighting and lighting that affects materials in different ways. Like, you don't think, because we do a good job at simulating lighting to look really, really nice, and maybe you won't think it'll look so different, but when you see light bounce off something.
When you say that, what I think of with the 360 generation that aged really poorly was like facial animation.
Yeah.
And so when you go to the PS4 and you look at the PS4's facial animation compared to that's where you really see the age. So I could totally see myself like getting used to ray tracing and then looking back at the PS4 stuff and being like, oh,
those shadows don't cast. It'll be interesting. Like, I'm excited for a new console generation. I always think new hardware is really fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing what it looks like. It was weird that they announced it in a Wired article, I guess.
Did you hear the backstory of this?
No.
Wired somehow got hold of some documents that had been leaked, and they pretty much went to Sony and was like, we're going to report on this. And then Sony were like, we'll tell you what, we'll give you an interview, because what else could they do?
Yeah.
Which I think is the right move for Sony, absolutely.
Yeah. I kind of figured they did it to get out ahead of like E3 news with like Xbox are going to run the show all June, I guess.
Yeah, I know after that Wired interview, like an hour later, Xbox announced their E3 schedule.
Oh, really?
So they were like, no, look at us.
Speaking of Xbox, it's the Xbox S all digital system.
Yep.
The Xbox sad.
The Xbox
Fucking
PSP Go.
Unbelievable. Oh my god. Like, did you guys ever see that? Like, I think there's some interview out there and it was asking about the acronym Xbone, Xbox One. And the guy was like, we just never saw it. Like, we just never saw that as a name that could be used, you know? And then fucking years later, and it's the Xbox SAD, and oh, look, everyone's made the jokes. It just, I nearly feel bad for the person that slipped by, because it's like, what's going on, buddy?
So this is the all-digital version of the Xbox One S. It is the same form factor as the Xbox S, so it's kind of got that dual white like face on it, where it's kind of smooth and then like with the holes. It's really pretty console, but they just took the disc tray out of it. It is 1 terabyte, and it is the same price as an S from the Microsoft Store, which is €250. But you can buy an Xbox S from, if you look around on Amazon and stuff, you can get it for $200.
So what's
with a
the
game.
incentive to buy this console?
If you're into not buying physical media.
But you can buy digital media on the one with the disc tray and also have options to buy discs.
They just want to
Does
cut
it have
it.
a bigger hard drive?
No, that's the thing. I think the price is crazy for a 1 terabyte. If this was 2 terabytes at that price, I'd be like, okay, sure. But 1 terabyte, all digital?
Yeah, like what's the pitch here?
You buy your games, they're trapped on it.
The pitch, the first bullet point on this is disc-free gaming.
Okay, but like discs aren't like...
They're killing people, John.
CEX is ruining the game
But
industry.
my discs aren't like hurting me. They're just there.
See, the thing, like, I this is the last fucking thing I buy. Because, like, for me, I like buying my AAA game. I like playing it for a couple months. Then I like getting it out of my life.
Yeah, okay, and if I'm a big business guy and I'm worried about people like Bryan, I give him a serious incentive to buy an all-digital console, like releasing it cheaper, having a massive hard drive or something.
It has 3 games installed on it, and it's Sea of Thieves, Minecraft, and what's their car game? Forza? Yeah.
Right.
But it's not the latest Forza, it's the previous Forza.
And this is, but like again, for 200 you can get, I was on Smith's, for the same price you can get an Xbox One S, 1 terabyte with Division and another game free. Like, I don't know. I would look to remove Forza personally off this. I have Minecraft on literally everything other console, and Sea of Thieves. These are eating up into my terabyte.
Yeah, I know Sea of Thieves is like low-key one of the most popular games on Twitch for the last while.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
because they're all probably raiding each other.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like
it's a strange
a
one.
very strange one.
I think as well with this, you get 3 months to their Xbox digital service.
You should get fucking 2 years. Like, this is like, there should be, and like, you should have access to the, like, there should be some fucking, like, I don't know, 12, 15, how long has Xbox Live been around for now?
I don't know.
It's been more than a decade,
Yeah.
but they should have like an incentive that it's like you get everything that's been on their games with gold already.
But
That would be a lot.
their Game Pass has is really good and really robust as well.
Yeah, it should have a back catalog available,
I know.
because otherwise, what's the point?
This
But the Game
console
Pass
feels
will-
like an argument that never got resolved.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
strange one.
Bill in marketing thinks it should be this. Johnny in production thinks it should be this.
They probably
they
just-
never saw
Do you know
eye to
what?
eye.
They probably have a bunch of leftover shells, and they couldn't be bothered building in the disc tray part, and they were like, "Well, we could just do without it."
That's how a lot of sweets get made now.
It's broken.
There's so many fucking sweets now where it's like, hey, you know your favorite fucking sweet? Well, we forgot to put the chocolate on it, and we're still gonna sell it to you because you're a fucking moron. Do you ever notice that now?
Yeah.
Fucking like,
Or like broken Maltesers,
Yeah,
but it's like,
Shards.
yeah, just Maltesers without the shell, and you taste it, and you're like, I guess that's what that tastes like, and we buy it.
we do.
It's our fault.
We're all gonna buy the Xbox One digital only.
Literally have mine pre-ordered.
I'm buying 5.
Yep, totally.
One for each day of the fucking week, because I'm a fucking idiot.
Oh, guys, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
So Bryan wanted Respawn to do a single player game, and here it is.
Happy birthday, Bryan.
Hey.
And then
I wanted fucking Visceral to do a Star Wars single player game.
same here. So this was announced at Star Wars Celebration, which was on around the 11th of April. They showed a trailer, no gameplay. They were very clear, this is no gameplay, but it's all made with in-game assets. It is set after Order 66 is instituted.
More like Order 666.
It is pretty nasty because all the Jedi Knights were killed.
Oh god, I'm so sorry.
So you play Cal, a white human man.
Oh, thank god. Oh,
My kind of guy.
let's just drink it in, Bryan. Just drink in that comfort.
I was
in
worried.
Star Wars, the one franchise with so many humanoid races. You got your Twi'leks, you got your Chiss, you have your Sabraks, your Togrutas. You have so much humans with spikes sticking out of them, or they're just blue.
I don't know, Niamh. You're bringing some very threatening ideas to the table here.
Anyway, you play as a man.
Man.
You play as man.
I like how he's called Cal, but he
My
should
name
just
is Man.
Yeah.
Man, human.
be Man Solo.
So Man Human, also known as Cal, is a surviving Padawan of Order 66, and he the whole thing is about him trying to suppress his powers, staying undercover. But the combat, as we were told, will be using force powers. They said it will be considered, but it will be easy to kind of get a hold of, but hard to master. It seems like there will be a lot of one-on-one fights maybe from it, or like, who knows? We saw no combat. It has a bit of that Respawn look to it, which I was disappointed by.
What do you mean by Respawn look?
I don't think they like color.
Yep.
Yeah, they like dust.
Like, it's very desaturated. I think Star Wars, when it looks nice, is very colorful.
Yeah, totally.
And it's a very colorful world, and those planets look good, and those ships look good. So I kind of thought it looked a bit dull. But again, this was from one single trailer, so maybe there's a bit more of it, but it did have that kind of Respawn aesthetic to it. I'm curious to see how Respawn will handle a melee game. Like, they do shooters, you know?
Yeah, they do it well.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see them do a third-person melee-orientated game.
Their shooters are also, like, more melee-oriented than most shooters. Like, they're still shooters, but, like, you have hand-to-hand. So it'd be interesting to see them, I guess, be able to open up in that regard.
Yeah, it's exciting for them as a studio. As a fan who's been looking forward to a Star Wars game, I was a little underwhelmed. I'm still going to get it. I'm still very excited for it, but it wasn't the announcement I was hoping for personally in terms of what that game would be. But the villain in it is a second sister. She's an Inquisitor, and she appeared in the Darth Vader comics. She's just standing around. She doesn't have a role in it, so it's going to be cool to see her design is cool.
So I watched the trailer when it came out. I remember literally nothing from it except that there's a cool Sith woman.
That's
Yeah.
her. That's the second sister.
That's the only thing
And she's wearing a belt around her waist, so you know that she's a woman.
Okay, thank God.
You gotta carve out that figure.
These are all very comforting thoughts.
Yeah, when you're not, like, if you're wearing a mask, how will anyone know if they want to fuck you?
That's something I worry about every day.
So Cal Human and
Hips Magoo.
Hips Magoo.
Darth Sexness.
Yeah.
This game is coming out in November.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Is that soon?
EA have a quick turnaround. That's why their games are so good.
Yeah, also
Between
mentioning of this,
Days Gone and Shenmue 3, Game of the Year is going to be fucking hype.
EA Star Wars Twitter account put out, no microtransaction, no loot boxes, and no, we won't be adding them. A single-player Star Wars story for those of you who are ready to become a Jedi.
Fuck you! You don't get to say that, EA! You fucking pieces of shit! Are they fucking... oh my god.
That's a tweet from EA Star Wars. Isn't that nuts? EA created this issue. EA made Battlefront that was plagued with loot boxes.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
But like when they said it on stage, people were like, yeah. And I was like, why are you cheering them? It's like they realize they can't fuck you over with loot boxes in the same ways, especially in Star Wars because of the bad reaction. And now you're giving them a round of applause. It's like, it was nuts to me, and it really kind of, to me, soured the announcement as well, because I was just like, God.
It also has this
market
tone
anything.
of like, aren't we fucking radical?
Yeah.
We're not doing this shit. And it's like, you assholes invented this shit.
Mm-hmm. Also, he can't become a Jedi. He's a Padawan and he doesn't have a master, and that's not how it works.
Niamh, I feel like we're actually coming up with a lot of legitimate points here. If you could just stop the Star Wars bullshit for maybe 5 fucking seconds. Do you think you could manage that?
To be fair, she is right. Like
For fuck's sake. I'm the only fucking real person on this podcast. You two are nerds.
he needs formal guidance in the Force.
No, you just feel it, man. It just depends. Just like all you need for the Force is a bunch of midichlorians.
He's got loads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He fucking
Off the
stinks at it.
charts.
Like you go near him and you're like, whoa.
Oh. Ubisoft homophobic slur in The Division 2.
I'm going to do this really quick because this is a really quick story, but it was just annoying because Ubisoft...
Really knocking it out of the park with
just
that
like,
LGBTQ stuff.
what other studio goes on about being inclusive and being diverse more than Ubisoft?
We are not racist.
Literally none. No other studio.
Never ever done anything bad ever.
What other studio have I brought up that keeps doing kind of homophobic things?
You know, it's starting to get like retroactively more suspicious how like much emphasis they put on diversity and that kind of thing.
Yeah, but this is the thing with Ubisoft. They know people other than white men have money and play games. They know that. Their diversity is a marketing ploy. It is diversity for the sake of capitalism. It is not representation. They know people will buy their games regardless, and they are trying to get other people in by having a veneer of diversity. It's like their accessibility options in the Division. It's not real. It's a veneer. It's a tab. They don't fucking do anything.
Well, like that's what I've always kind of hated about Ubisoft, honestly. They've just always felt like this really just faceless gaming. They feel like faceless game corp, and they release all these games, and all the games they release are always super on point for what's in fashion right now in games, and they always kind of sucked. And like that's not having to go with people who actually like work at Ubisoft. I'm sure thousands of fucking really cool creative people work at Ubisoft, but like the broader decisions that company makes always irks me. And then when you see stuff like this, it's like, man, this fucking company, like,
it's super slimy. So anyway, to get to this, in the game The Division 2 there is graffiti, and there's actually very little graffiti in this world. Like, you will notice some graffiti, and someone took a screenshot and it's of a cop and a donut's being shoved into his mouth. It's a spin on Black Flag's album art for Police Story, or single art, and on his badge is the word faggot in leet speak, so it's FA6607, you know, very thinly veiled. In the original Black Flag's artwork, that slur is used. It is used in a speech bubble, so someone had to redesign a badge to fit that in there. It isn't just a copy and paste of that artwork. What's in his mouth in the artwork is a gun. They replaced that with a donut, but they didn't think of replacing the slur. And it's fucking gross. It's needless. It's really annoying, and the conversation around it on Twitter and other places was really annoying. People were like, well, you know, it's a dystopia, and it's just like, this is the game that keeps saying it's apolitical and it has no politics in it, and then it has slurs, and you're saying, oh well, it's a dystopia, slurs are allowed in it. So you want your game to be political when you want it to include slurs, but you don't want it to be political when it has to have a fucking stance on the really deeply political backdrops it uses. It's like, come on, don't be an idiot. So it's really frustrating. They put out a statement really quickly. They're getting rid of it. It's been brought to our attention that a piece of street art in Tom Clancy's Division 2 contained offensive content. Remove the image from the game via a patch on Thursday, April 11th. We apologise that this image slipped through our content review process, and we are currently reviewing them in order to avoid this kind of oversight from recurring in the future. And if anyone works in any kind of animation, games dev, you know more than one person sees these things. You know, they have to go through approval, they have to go places.
Yeah, you could tell a bunch of meetings were had, especially if it's like they had to redo it from scratch and it was someone's idea to put it in lead speak.
Barely any of the dicks I ever tried to put in my shows got in.
Yeah.
It's true.
Like, even on the most small studios, like, people will, like, at least 3 people will see something before it gets finalized.
Yeah, stuff gets QC'd to fuck.
Yeah, it does.
So it's like, I think, like, I don't think everyone in Ubisoft is a homophobe. Of course not. I'm pretty sure that it is a very diverse team. But I think there's a few homophobes harboring in Ubisoft, and I think it's getting really frustrating to continuously buy their games and then to have shit like this pop up as a gay player. And just as a fucking person, like, come on.
Well, like, if you stop buying their games, you'll also never have to play Assassin's Creed again. So it's a win-win.
I think part of me wants to stop buying them on principle, and then the other part is I want to be able to talk about this stuff when this stuff happens. Like, you know.
That's fair.
Like, Origins and stuff, I wanted to talk about the content in that game. But yeah, I don't know. Fuck Ubisoft.
Fuck Ubisoft. Capcom releases their Capcom arcade stick.
This is their version of a micro console, I guess. With like a best of collection.
Yeah.
By micro, it's very, very big.
Yeah, it's a giant Capcom logo with 2 joysticks and
This
buttons.
is a product for crazy people.
You gonna get it?
No.
Not even John's getting it.
Not even John's getting it. Michelle would not.
Okay, but John, let's just say Michelle's not in the picture, and it's me. Are John and Bryan getting it?
For their love pad.
I mean,
just no. Hey,
when I think of
what
like,
we do
if me
in
and
our
Bryan
pad,
built a life together, I think there'd be a lot of stupid shit in that apartment, and I think at some point we'd both think owning this would be really funny.
I just think it would complement the hentai.
It would.
It's such a weird looking thing. Oh my god.
Yeah, it is. It's awful, and I feel so bad for like, because like the left side of it looks okay, the right side of it doesn't look as okay. The game library is fine.
Sure, and a whole lot of Street Fighters on there.
I thought there'd be more side-scrolling beat-em-ups, because you know the way there's that 4-game or 6-game how many game collection on the Switch that we played?
8. Armored Warriors
8.
is on there.
Okay. Yeah, like I thought there'd be more of those kind of arcade games that you don't really get to play anymore, or you can't play, but Capcom have them archived super well.
God, this thing looks so weird.
It's just a
It's
giant
like a
logo.
birthday cake with 2 arcade sticks coming out of it.
Yeah, the buttons are kind of painted as the logo. It's like the vinyl is nearly over them as well.
Like that.
No,
So
I want them color coded.
Yep.
it's really strange, and it's expensive. I think it's like €250.
Why?
There is so much better ways to play those games.
Interesting. It's an interesting take on the micro console market that is now a thing.
I think between this and the new Xbox One, I think there's some. Why?
It's just the end of the generation, and everyone's getting crazy.
I want a new Switch. That's all I want.
Yeah, well,
My other Switch is 2 years out of its warranty, and it's like fucking rattly.
is it?
Although
I imagine, Bryan, your Switch gets a lot of play.
like I don't like launch consoles because there's always a bunch of duds in the batch.
Yeah.
And they don't last after 2 years, and you want to upgrade. You want to get rid of that fucking thing and get a new one. And now they've done a new update to the Switch, so you can transfer all your data to a new Switch pretty seamlessly. Like, they're prepping for it.
Yeah, totally. Guys, what's why you take some emails?
This is the email part of our podcast.
Bryan, I want to send an email to Let's Fight a Boss. I have some questions.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to ask us something?
I'd like to ask a question, yeah.
Well, we have an email that's called askletsfightaboss@gmail.com.
Okay, and if I send that to just Let's Fight a Boss, That should do, right?
No, you have to ask us.
Okay, ask let's fight a boss at gmail.com.
You have to make
You got
sure.
that, Niamh?
Yeah, it's askletsfightaboss@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's Gmail, not fucking Yahoo.
Okay, because I was actually going to send it to Yahoo.
Or whatever Ask Jeeves' attempt of an email was. It's no...
Okay.
I'm not using AOL or...
Okay, look, I will definitely send one to the Gmail, and I'm also going to send one to the Hotmail.
You can do that if you want.
Okay.
But make sure you send it to the Gmail. And make sure it's a question, or a comment or a critique. Or maybe you just want to scream at us.
Hey, look, we take them all. We like to hear stuff. You can ask us questions on whatever you like, and it might sound a little something like this.
All right. I'm going to do the first one, and it is from Samantha. And Samantha asks, have you ever had a bad experience at the cinema?
Yeah, I fucking have. Okay, so I might have told this story at some point on the podcast. I'm sorry. This is one of those stories. Do you ever have it where it's like, it's not that big a deal in the grand scheme of things, but you think about it years later and you're still fucking mad for this? Okay, so it's one of the like opening screenings of The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
So the third Batman movie.
The movie that came out in 2012.
Yeah. And I'm there with two friends and Michelle, and we're going into our seats. Very crowded cinema. It's all booked out. And then some guy cuts in between me and Michelle and our two friends, so we're separated by one seat. And I'm kind of like, oh, that's a shame, but I guess it doesn't really matter that much. And so we're getting down the aisle, and finally he turns around and he looks at me and he goes, oh, I'm sorry, this entire aisle is reserved for me and my friends. And I was like, I think it's just general seating. And he's like, yeah, but like, we all want to sit together. And I'm like, no, this is just general seating. Like, and he's like, listen, you're actually like, are you actually going to do this? Like, he starts getting really upset. He's like, are you actually doing this? And I was like, doing what? And he's like, you're ruining this for me and my friends. And I was like, and at this point I go, hey, listen, look behind you. Those are two of my friends. What you're accusing me of doing, you're doing to me. And he kind of gets it, but his crowd of friends doesn't. And this girl, I'll never fucking forget it. And just, can I say this? If you're listening, the person who said this, I fucking hate you. And I still hate you. And I'll never stop hating you. And I hope you've been listening to this podcast since the beginning, and you've been like, you know what, I really like these guys. You know, John's got some interesting opinions. I like listening to John. Well, John doesn't fucking like you. I hate you. She goes, it's my fault, Derek. I let him skip me. And I'm turning around to this crowd of people, and I'm like, I'm getting crazy at this point. And I'm like, what you're saying I'm doing to you, you've done to me. And at that point, they're just like, come on, we'll let him have his win. And I'm like, this isn't a win. And then in my head, I'm like, I'll show you a fucking win. And I didn't even know what I meant by that. But I was so pissed that I sat there, like, angry the entire movie. And I was like, man, that third Batman film was kind of shitty. And to this day, I don't know if I actually think The Dark Knight Rises is shitty, or if I was just that annoyed that I get that annoyed whenever I watch stuff. I hope she listens to this podcast. And I hope it just ruined her fucking day. Don't anyone ever cross me like that.
Do you hear the story about the cinema?
Yeah. Similar-ish to John's, except the opposite, where it was assigned seating. I can't remember the movie because it's not important. I went to my assigned seat with my girlfriend and with some other friends, and we had our seats chosen. I like to be in the middle up, And there was this elderly couple, not too old, maybe in their late 40s, early 50s. And I go, oh, sorry, you're in our seats. And I show them my ticket. And the husband goes, oh, okay. And he starts to get up, and the wife grabs his hand and makes him sit down. And she goes, no. And I was like, oh, no, you are. And I showed her the ticket, and she was just like, I'm not leaving. And I was like, but it's assigned seating and you're in my seat. If I sit somewhere else, I could be sitting in someone else's seat. And she was just like, I'm not moving. And I was just like, so like, what the fuck do I do? I was just like, I'm a bit of a hothead. And I was like, move. And she was like, no. And I was like, move. So I eventually left, and I was just like, I am getting the usher.
Oh
like,
shit!
I am pissed off. I am here early to get my assigned seat to see my fucking movie. And I went and I got the usher, and the usher comes in, and she's like, yeah, she's right. This is her seat. You have to move. And your one just goes, I'm not moving. And the usher was like,
she said no to the cinema police.
Yeah, and the cinema
That's
police was
crazy.
like, and she was just like, you have to. And your one was like,
It's the
well,
cinema
I'm
code.
not. And your one is like, your one's working in cinema. She's like fucking 22 and she doesn't give too much of a shit. So she's like, I guess she's not moving. And I was just like, oh my God. And I was just like, okay, so I guess I'll sit somewhere else. I was like, what happens if someone else wants to come? And she was just like, I guess you tell them you're not moving. And there was just this fucking standoff.
You become the monster.
Niamh, at that point, I would have been like, get your manager.
I just wanted to watch the movie, so I went to the aisle behind her and I reached over and I was just like, I want you to know you're a stupid bitch.
A stupid bitch.
And the husband was just quite the entire time, and she was red and stone face, and like, I was behind her sitting there giving her daggers the entire time.
And what did Rebecca do during this? Did she have a great time?
She was like, went from being like enraged to like, oh, okay, just leave it, Niamh, to being like, Niamh, don't do it.
That's the worst fucking
Yeah.
feeling. I remember me and Michelle were out before, and this is in a burrito place, and 5 fucking like big ass rugby guys all skipped us. They just walked in front of us, and I actually love this because I fucking love when like catching people for something like that. And so I was like, excuse me, lads. And they kind of all turned around, and I was like, yous are actually all just after skipping me. The queue starts behind me here. And they look at each other and they laugh. And I just said, and like they just didn't do anything. And then I said, listen, you can't just skip people. Fucking do it. And 4 of them were like, oh, fine, if you're gonna be fucking. And one of them didn't. And I just stared and stared and stared at him. And then eventually he turns around and he goes, oh, did you mean me as well? And I was like, yeah. And like me and Michelle hadn't been going out long. And I thought, man, I just made these 5 fucking guys like back down. She's going to be so fucking impressed. We get our burritos and she's like, John, that was so embarrassing.
That's cool.
That's like probably the coolest thing. That is the coolest, like you guys know what a fucking train wreck I am. That is the coolest and toughest I have ever been. And it didn't work.
Okay, here's my story.
Okay.
It's a different kind of story, but it is about a shit time at the cinema. I really didn't like what happened to me. The year was 2003.
Okay.
And my friends and I went to see Underworld.
Classic movie. Very good movie.
I don't like that film
It's
because
amazing movie.
I'm sure it's great, but I don't like that movie because of what happened. We're sitting in a row in the middle, and in front of us are a bunch of girls. And this movie is 15s, and I'm 14. And
Bryan, you are playing with fire.
I got in. I was fucking. And like I was tiny. I didn't like get a growth spurt until I was like 17. So I was like 5 feet tall with the voice I have now, watching Underworld with 2 guys from school. And the girls in front of us are probably a year or 2 younger, and they're talking throughout the entire fucking movie. And at one point, I'm trying to watch the movie, and we're halfway through it, and I'm like, this is good. Werewolves, vampires, Underworld. And one of the girls keeps looking at me, and she hands me her phone, and it's a Nokia 3310 with predictive text turned on. And I don't like predictive text. Do you guys like predictive text?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't spell.
I never learned predictive text because I liked doing it manually. And it's a phone, and there's a text message typed out on her phone. Will you make out with me? And I look at it, and I give her her phone. I shake my head at her. And then she goes, like, she just shoves her phone back at me. Like she wants a fucking, like, text reply. So I replied, and it took me fucking ages to text back, no. And I'm trying to watch the fucking movie. And she just goes, she looks at it and deletes it and types back, why not?
Oh.
And I'm like,
oh, jeez.
and I'm like, I'm just like, no, thank you. I'm trying to watch the movie, and she's like, come on, and she keeps giving me back the phone the entire time.
No means no.
Yeah, and
That's what you get for being such a little honey, Brian.
and eventually and like her two other friends are fucking laughing the entire time. So I messaged back like, I don't want to kiss you. I don't want to kiss your friends. Leave me alone. And she goes, my friends don't want to kiss you. I'm like,
Savage.
good.
Wait, so at that point, she broke her silence and
Yeah.
went into words.
Also, it's fucking pitch black as well, because Underworld is a dark movie. Like, I don't know what this girl looks like. And like her friends keep going, look at her. And I'm like, I can't fucking see her. I'm trying to watch Kate Beckinsale in the movie instead. And my two other friends are scared shitless. They're not fucking helping. Like, girls are weird.
Girls are weird. When girls talk to me in public, it's the scariest fucking shit. Like, not if I already know them.
Anyway, this whole ordeal takes about an hour until eventually she fucking backs off. And I've missed, like, pretty much like the last act of the movie. And then the movie ends. And I never got to see Underworld. I've never seen any of the other films. We left the cinema and I actually was like, guys, can we just wait? Because I want them to leave before we leave. Because I was so scared of meeting them in the lobby. Awful, awful girls.
Brian, what's that? You know, like sometimes we go, awful.
I think is it not from The Simpsons when
Is it-
Superintendent
but I think he
Chalmers like,
says ugly.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Oh, yeah, no, but-
sometimes me and Michelle are in the apartment and she'll do something. I'll be like, you're an awful little girl.
yeah. Oh, just
That's really funny. Man, those are 3 really good cinema stories.
I fucking hate going to the cinema sometimes. All right, thank you, Samantha.
Thank you, Samantha. Great question.
All right, Niamh, this next one, you want to take care of it?
Yes.
This is another movie question, but it's more about watching movies from the safety of your home.
This is from Sarah. I love listening to y'all talk about horror movies and games because I've never been able to enjoy those things myself due to how easily frightened I get. How did you get to the point where you could enjoy scary things without it consuming your life? What makes you keep coming back to it, and where would you suggest someone like me start? Thanks for reading this. Y'all are rad as heck. Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. How do you guys handle horror movies? Like, are you scared by them at all, or are you just into the atmosphere?
If a horror film can totally scare me, it's pretty rare that something like will properly fuck me up. But if a horror film is like properly messing with me, like really getting in my head, like say the last thing that did was maybe Hereditary, that is the best case scenario for me. Like I want to feel those emotions.
Same. Like, I've been watching horror since I was way too young.
Same.
Like, really way too young. My mom liked horror and she didn't really see any problem with showing it to me at a young age. And I was never really afraid of it. So when I do get scared, it's really, really good. And I really want that. The reason I like horror is I think it deals with more interesting concepts that you don't get to see in anything else. I think it taught me a lot about reading media and understanding media.
Horror is really good for being like, hey, life can be really awful and it doesn't always get better.
Yeah, like
and that's kind of no other genre is really like that.
Yeah, like the stories are so simple and black and white sometimes. You know who the protagonist is, you know who the antagonist is, you know one character has all the good put into them and the other character has all the bad put into them. It's very easy to like read the media.
Yeah, but then like I think a lot of the most effective horror deals with some real just
that moral
deep
gray area
down awful human shit. Like, you know, I was talking about Pet Sematary. That entire film and that entire story is just about people's complete inability to handle death. Mm-hmm. And, you know, not all horror is based on something like that, but a lot of it kind of can be. And I think when horror really reaches deep down into like just this really like, you know, like I talked about devotion a lot recently, and I think what makes that horror so effective is it is like all this really effective imagery and stuff, but it's like it's this person who completely loses themselves and has to bury themselves in this other thing, and that's the only way they start to view the world. We've all met people like that. I have lived with people like that, you know, and I think horror is really amazing for expressing really uncomfortable truths about ourselves that no other genre even, you know, really attempts to do.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's certain kind of things that scare me in media, like The Act freaks me out a bit.
That's a true story, though.
Yeah, but like the bits that make you uncomfortable or kind of freak you out, I find like the way I handle it is that like there's such a fine line from that anticipation of like something is either gonna give you that reaction of being scared or it's gonna make you laugh, or you find humor in horror from like the dumb moments. Like there are bits in Hereditary where I'm like, this bit's so fucking fun, and you find like comedy in those, but not like joke comedy. Just like
I think they're kind of,
you find relief in them.
but there's a lot of like psychological stuff about that where like the laughter can come from a very similar place to the horror.
Yeah,
because your body
absolutely.
just doesn't know how to deal with
Yeah,
what it's
and you're just releasing a noise.
Yeah.
But it's a laugh rather than a scream.
Because like sometimes when I see something really horrible, I will kind of laugh, but it'll kind of be like, whoa, shit.
But that's so comforting to do then.
Yeah.
And so I think that's good about horror, that like if you are scared of horror, just laugh along with it instead of screaming along with it.
In terms of how like got into horror, was that part of the question?
Yeah.
How someone like Sarah could get into it herself because she's afraid of it. I have a pretty good answer for this
Go
because
for it.
I asked my girlfriend, who is a new horror fan. She found it. She never watched horror. She found it really scary. It would keep her up at night. It would make her feel unsafe nearly. So
What I wouldn't give to feel like that again.
oh god, it's such
Yeah.
an alien feeling to me. And I was like, but you work in media, you know how the sausage is made, so you know, like, why is it scaring you? But it's way she got into horror, and she's really glad she did because she enjoys it a lot. And which is probably one of her favorite genres now, was true let's plays of games. So she would watch people play Amnesia and like really horrible, like scary horror games. But through the lens of someone else doing it, so she could pause it, she could stop it. It wasn't her in it, it was someone else in it. She likes watching me play horror games as well. So Let's Plays she found helpful. Horror adjacent films, so Del Toro, like Crimson Peak, or like even Pan's Labyrinth has like horror elements to it that then kind of leads in, that you can lead into more fantastical horror kind of stuff. Horror adjacent films like that I think are a really good way to get into it because they usually more deal with theme as well, and you might find the kind of stuff you like. I think it's also good to identify what you don't like about horror. My girlfriend doesn't like home invasion movies. She doesn't like when someone breaks into a house because that scares her, so she doesn't like to watch those. She's okay with supernatural, she's okay with ghosts, so she'll watch that stuff. So it's kind of, horror is such a broad genre.
Yeah, and I think a kind of issue I have with introducing people to horror who might not be into it is like there's a lot more to horror than jump scares, and if you're watching a horror film that's super jump scary and you're not enjoying it, that's not a great sign for the film.
Yeah,
you know?
that's a
like,
bad horror.
like so much of horror is about like the atmosphere and like the uncomfortable themes and stuff like that. And so
I think what might put a lot of people off horror is like even in the kind of mid 2000s there was a real like rise in stupid slashers like Hostel and like the Saws that aren't the first Saw,
Yeah.
where it was like it's gore for the sake of gore kind of stuff.
there was a lot of gore porn.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
and like I think a lot of people have in their head, and I know my girlfriend did, was that what horror was? And I was just like, I don't watch that horror. Like, I'll watch it because it's fun, like I'm fine with it, but like that's not the horror I would write down as my favorite movies in the horror genre.
No, they're films you don't appreciate. You
Yeah,
just,
like Hostel isn't Hereditary or It Follows or something like that. But
we should give like some recommendations for maybe a beginner horror movie.
I think Del Toro's Crimson Peak is a good kind of ghostly horror that's more kind of around the idea of going mad. It's like very arty, like very nice and prop heavy.
I'm gonna throw out Rosemary's Baby because I think that's a film where like the fear of it is not intense. Like it's not super jump scary. There's never even really a point where anyone's life is in danger. It's all about like the atmosphere and the unsettling things it's implying about its characters that's scary about that film. And I do think it's a scary film. And then maybe something like Perfect Blue as well, because I think that layer of abstraction with animation helps some people deal with the kind of horror. But I think Perfect Blue is a fucking terrifying movie.
It is.
Yeah.
For me, it'd be Evil Dead 2. I think that movie is like, it's fucking Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
Or Zombieland or something.
Zombieland,
like
yeah.
Oh, Zombieland's great.
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead's amazing, and like, especially if you like love movies.
Yeah.
Stuff by Edgar Wright is really good because like it has its wacky schlocky horror bits, but there's intelligence and they're clever films.
Yeah. So yeah, give them a go.
Tell us how you get on if you do try it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be curious.
Yeah.
Find your comfort zone.
What are there any, like, I guess, tropes in horror that kind of mess you guys up?
Definitely Southern Gothic from the last episode,
Yeah.
and home invasion. Just stuff to do with families is always awful because you're supposed to trust them.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
like fucked up stuff with children or children dying, like Hereditary and stuff, really. Or like naked people standing places.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Just nakedness.
I really, really fucking hate creepy kids. I hate that trope. It's supposed to be this innocent child, but it's evil.
And does that
Fed up with that.
So you, like, it's not like that scares you, it's like you're just fed up with it.
I want to not watch it because I don't like that.
I think that can be done so badly, but when
Yeah.
it's done well, it can be done very well.
It can be done very well. I think
It's
it's
just
at the
so
point though
tired.
where there's so many great examples, it can be hard to match up with them. Like, are you going to come up with something like as creepy as the kids from The Shining or Damien or anything like that?
Because like I really like Hereditary because in the trailers and the marketing they have the creepy girl, but it's not that at all.
she's so charming in that, even though she's
Yeah.
kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it's just it plays with your expectations so well.
For me, I don't want this to sound bad, but there is something that really messes me up about creepy imagery featuring like old women.
You've said this before.
I think,
Yeah.
When I think of like the most iconic one, do you know the nanny from Ghostbusters 2?
The librarian.
Yeah.
No, they look out the door and the baby's being taken away by this ghostly nanny.
Oh yeah. She's only in like one or two shots.
She's only, I think she might do, yeah, she's only in like one or two shots, and she's so scary. She really fucked me up.
It's like going and rewatching it, it's not that scary, but Poltergeist, there was something really, really scary about the unknown. I hate goo. I hate gross things. Like
I
there's
love
a
gross
scene
things.
where there's like skeletons bubble up from a pool, and that always freaked me out. Or they just find like kind of jelly kind of substance in a bath or a shower. Gross things like that. Oh,
There she is.
that's just literally an old lady.
It's actually not that scary now
Yeah.
that I'm looking at it, but yeah, that stuff always frightens me. I'm sure there can't be any deep-rooted psychological issue for that.
I love stuff like The Thing where they have the practical effects and they'll work so hard for one shot, and it's just so fun and exciting to see that kind of thing.
I
That
think
stuff.
my favorite horror is people kind of going crazy, like maybe, and it's not really that horror. Like, do you ever see Shelter, where the guy is trying to keep his family safe from
Yeah, that's a really good film.
I've seen it.
a tornado, and he's really convinced it's outside.
It's
Maybe
what's his
it's
name,
not.
Rex Banner from Boardwalk Empires.
That's
in
who you hire for that role.
it. Michael
Yep.
Shannon. Yeah,
Michael Shannon.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's
in
also
that.
in Bug as well, where he thinks he's bugs in his skin.
Yeah, and
Oh no.
That's
Bug's
very
amazing.
good.
Yeah,
That's a
because
good movie.
because it's directed by William Friedkin, who did The Exorcist and Killer Joe. Oh, I love Killer Joe. But
And it was a
but that's
theater
weird-
production, so
Yeah, it was.
it's all set in one room and they're just going insane. So those are two horror adjacent films as well that aren't direct horror but are kind of horror.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, horror's fun.
We got time for one more.
We got one more email, and it is from Nick, and it is do you have any embarrassing stories about a video game that was going to be released that you defended and upon release was a pile of shit?
Can't wait for Shenmue 3.
Yeah, I guess it's just about hype and regret.
I don't get hype.
Not for a very long time.
I don't get hype anymore. I used to get hype, but Nintendo broke that fucking.
Yeah, I don't get hype anymore. Maybe it's a thing that happens with age, but
I get like, oh, Cool.
Yeah.
Hope that's good.
And I only ever got hype when I was younger about games I knew I would like Final Fantasy games.
Oh, I used to get so hyped when I was little. Man, I was so hyped for Turok Dinosaur Hunter 2.
Is that good?
No.
The day before Sekiro came out, I was in bed and I was so happy and excited.
Wait.
Oh, no.
But then, no, I liked that game, but it wasn't what I wanted it to be, but it's something else instead.
Firewatch. I think I was pretty excited for that to come out.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Because there was so much, what is Firewatch?
The preview was so good, and Ollie Moss was doing the art direction. It just had so many promising things about it. That game's lame.
Mm-hmm. And I think Octopath Traveler as well, I was really like, Octopath's going to be great. Octopath's going to be awesome. And then I was like, it was fine. It's beautiful, but only okay.
Yeah. I think the last time I got really disappointed by a game, I think was Killer is Dead from Suda51.
Oh, yeah.
I love Suda games. You know, I like them. I like the vast. I like Lollipop Chainsaw. You know, I like a lot of those games, but that Killer is Dead game, it felt like the kind of game that No More Heroes was making fun of, and it also wasn't as fun to play as No More Heroes. And going from No More Heroes, which is one of my favorite games of all time, fucking love No More Heroes, to that, it was a real disappointment, and there was so much I didn't like about that game, and it's
as a kid, I remember seeing in a magazine screenshots of Pokemon Snap, and I was so fucking excited. And then I played the game, and it's just an on-rail shooter with 9 levels, and as a kid you can beat that game in a day, and that's not how games are supposed to be when you're a kid. It's supposed to take you a year.
That's your buddy for the next 3 months.
Yeah, and I beat it in a day, and I was like, but wait, hang on, what? I was so disappointed by that game.
Yeah.
And people look back at that game and they think it's great. It's not.
It's a strong argument.
That was a full price game. It's a fucking lie. I was so hyped.
You were so hyped.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for getting the mood going, Nick.
Yeah, thanks for just killing it all.
Yeah, you did it, Nick.
Thank you for the email, Nick. That was very good.
Yeah, we love you.
I just want to say thanks to everyone. I asked people if they were non-Irish who watched Derry Girls, and and how their experience was with that, and I got a lot of people tell me that they loved it and they're really happy they watched it. A lot of Americans watching it with subtitles on. Special shout out to Danica watching from Serbia. So
cool.
I really love the idea that people are watching Derry Girls around the world.
Sometimes I get really shocked at, I guess, just how many people, or not how many people, but the range of places people come from that listen to us. It always kind of blows my mind, because we kind of accepted we have a lot of American listeners, but it's fucking rad to hear that we have a lot of other people too.
Yeah.
Guys, what's up? We move into some Patreon shoutouts.
That's right. This is the shill part of the podcast.
Niamh, you look like you need something to believe in.
What?
Well, for only $3 a month,
what can I believe in?
you can believe in the Let's Fight a Boss Patreon and become a member of the Patreon exclusive Discord.
That's right, the Boss Rush.
The Boss Rush, the world's strongest Discord.
And thanks to our lovely patrons, we can do stuff like the Let's Play and all that stuff.
Some future stuff we're talking over behind the scenes.
And wine. We have a Patreon. What's the website called?
Patreon.com/LFAB.
Patreon.com/LFAB.
And as a huge bonus to the Patreon, you can have your message read out live on air. You can make us say nearly anything.
You can make me say whatever you want me to say about Shenmue. How does that make you feel?
Bryan.
Yeah.
Why don't you start us off here?
Alright, this first one is from Gallo the Shroom. How do you feel about the fact that there is no good Mexican food in Ireland?
Okay, well, first of all, let me tell you, I went to a burrito place recently. I think it was called the Hungry Burrito, which I know that concept is a little confusing.
It wasn't called the Hungry Mexican.
No, it wasn't called the Hungry Mexican.
It was called the Hungry Burrito.
Hungry Burrito.
Okay.
It's on the Keys. I went in. This guy, he was like, "What sauce do you want on that?" And I was like, "What sauce do you have?" And he was like, "We have from mild to extreme spicy." And this dude was Mexican, so I thought maybe he kind of knew his shit, because when an Irish person says that to you, they don't know anything.
No.
And I was like, "Okay, give me your most spicy." And he was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I ate the burrito with tears rolling down my face, because that shit hurts so good. So that's not true. The hungry burrito on the Keys. Go check it out.
There's a very good burrito restaurant in Galway as well.
Yeah?
I think we went to it.
Must have been
Where
that
were we in
good.
Galway? Oh yeah,
Took you there.
like just a couple of weeks ago.
It was called like Tuco's, I think. It was good.
It was very good, yeah. But yeah, there's some good burrito places. Anyway, moving swiftly along. Niamh, why don't you take this next one?
It's from Grady Baby. Top 3 Irish artists: LFAB, James Joyce, Bono.
Pretty distance. A lot of distance between 1 and 2 there, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Bono. Like, at least slip Enya
He
in
ran
there.
Yeah.
Enya.
Enya's good.
Okay, but that's literally it.
Or like Joe
That's it.
Dolan, or like maybe like some spoken word from...
Gay Byrne.
Yeah. Well, not Hosier. He's all right.
Oh. Remember we met him at a party once?
Yeah,
Was that
yeah.
him?
Yeah, Andrew.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
Nice guy. Neon Love says, oh, for fuck's sake, Bing Bong, live fast, buy art, die hard, Bing Bong. Thank you, Neon Love.
John had to say that.
I didn't like saying silly words. Guys, what's how you move into our loot drop?
Don't worry, everyone. The podcast is nearly done.
Yeah, we can nearly all go home. So I got one that I've kind of had prepped for a little while now, and I'm really happy to do it. It's Distortion 2 on YouTube. Sekiro, any speedrun in 24 minutes and 37 seconds.
That's mine.
Okay, I want to drop one from Ryan Hollinger. This guy's a favorite of me and Bryan, and he recently did a video on Pet Sematary.
He sure
and
did.
It's really good. And Ryan's he's a cool lad, and I really, really like his videos.
He does so many videos.
I don't know how he does it. Bryan, what do you got?
My loot drop is on a YouTuber called Distortion 2, and I've been following him the last couple of weeks as he gets better and better at the Sekiro any percentage glitch speedrun.
Oh, interesting.
He was like just under an hour, but every time he does a new upload, he finds a different way to like chip away a minute or two.
And is he walking you through it as he's doing it?
A bit. Well, like, he's just streaming on Twitch, but like he does a good job of like playing and doing the commentary. But now he's got it down to 24 minutes and 37 seconds. In the most recent one, he's figured out that you can start swimming, then quit out to the game, reload, and you're still swimming, and you can swim to different parts of the map and skip entire areas.
Wow.
And
did you see that comment we got on the Shenmue? We got a glitch during our Shenmue playthrough where Ryu was floating like 4 foot in the air, and that people actually used that to like skip sections of the game.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But the first patch is coming out for Sekiro, and he was talking about it, and he's like, not looking forward to that patch. I'm gonna have my game, not connected to the internet, because they'll be patching all that shit out.
Yeah, I remember in the original Dark Souls, you could do this thing where you could take rings on and off, and when you did that, it disabled any like sludge you were moving through, so you could just move it through normally, and that was like key to every speedrun, and then they patched it out.
Anyway, it's super fun to watch and kind of play along with, and just to see someone who's just insanely good at that game break it.
I have 2. My first one is ray tracing and other rendering methods. If you don't know what ray tracing is and want to know what that means in terms of rendering 3D objects, this is a really quick explainer that explains how they're rendered now, when ray tracing was invented, how it's done. It has 3D models, and it's showing you exactly how it's working. And it was a really good explainer for me, and that made me excited for the concept of ray tracing. So quick video, really good. And then the second one is from Black Femininity TV, and it's called Ghost Singing, Jennifer Lopez Stolen Vocals.
Oh.
Every song where Jennifer Lopez, who is barely singing in them, and the vocals she has stolen off other artists and demo versions of the tracks that she's used. It's a really interesting video, and Black Femininity TV is a really good channel, and there's a lot of other good stuff on it as well if you're into R&B and pop.
Cool. Good stuff. Guys, that's an episode.
It is. That is episode 98.
98.
We're nearly there. We're nearly at our final episode.
Oh, thank God.
Then we can just... We don't have to do this anymore.
We're free.
Yeah. I don't even like games.
I never have.
I just don't get a football. Go outside.
Just play some rugby with
Get
the
a
lads.
Yeah.
Hurl.
You ever gone hurling?
I once held a hurling stick and I was like, this... I don't know about this now.
I used to play hurling for my local school, and me and another boy would stand on the hurling pitch and talk about Pokemon.
I ran from a camogie pitch before.
Guys, thank you for joining us. We've had quite the adventure here on the Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast.
I'm going to tuck you into bed.
Oh, for
I know you're
fuck's
listening to this
sake.
in work,
Oh.
and it's really weird because you're being tucked in, but you have to tell your boss you have to go home.
Yeah, it's sleepy time.
It's sleepy time. You're getting tucked in. Brian is there. He's puffing up your pillow. John's there too, and he's holding your hand.
The fuck I am.
John's holding your hands so fucking tight. And he's whispering sweet nothings into your ear.
Never whisper sweet nothings in anyone's ear.
You do every YouTube video you do.
Good night, friends.
Good night, everyone. We'll see you in Dreamland.
Good night.